liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Roll call.
Mr. Schneider?
Here.
Mrs. Madiker?
Here.
Mr. Shi?
Here.
Mrs. Peng?
Here.
Mrs. White?
Here.
Mr. Mohan Patel?
Here.
Mr. Burrell Patel?
Here.
Mr. Rivera?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Opening statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of these notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger on January 4th and January 11th of 2022. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. This is exciting. We have such a great group of people here, and we will recognize you in just a short while. But first, we're very proud to recognize Ms. Carol Badofsky, our outgoing board member, and she's here tonight. And I'm very proud tonight to read this resolution in honor of Ms. Badofsky. Whereas Carol Badofsky, during the last 2 years, has served as a member of the Edison Township Board of Education, serving on various committees during her term as board member. And whereas Carol Badofsky has earned the admiration and respect of the community, the state, and the students. And whereas Carol Badofsky has aggressively met all challenges and has continually represented the school district in the best interest of the students. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Edison Township Board of Education extend its congratulations to Carol Badofsky for this outstanding commitment to the Edison Township School District, and that a copy of this resolution be placed in the minutes of the Board of Education meeting on this date, and a copy be presented to Carol Badofsky with a suitable expression of thanks. This is adopted tonight, February 15th, 2022. Thank you, Ms. Badofsky. Thank you again. And now we will move to our Student Recognition Night. Dr. Bragan?
Thank you, Board President. At this time, we'll turn over the program to our Supervisor of the Arts, Mr. White.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom White, and I'm the District Supervisor for Visual and Performing Arts. I'd like to welcome all of you to our Edison Board of Education Student Recognition Night. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Bragan, as well as the administration for hosting this event. This is our first in-person recognition ceremony in a long time, and I'm happy to be your host tonight. I'm especially excited to hear about the outstanding accomplishments that our students have achieved in so many different academic areas and athletic endeavors. Without any further delay, let's get our program started. When your name is called, please stand at your location and stand by your seat, and that's where you'll be recognized. It's now my pleasure to introduce our presenters for tonight. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Joan Valentine, principal of John Adams Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure and honor to be here on behalf of John Adams Middle School as the proud principal. I'd like to thank Dr. Bragan and the Board of Education for allowing us this wonderful opportunity to recognize, in this case, these jamazing students. So I'd like to start by recognizing our cross-country team with Coach Doug Pissarro. Congratulations to our 2021 GMC Middle School Boys Novice Champions. Soham Agarwal, Sridhar Garg, Satvik Gaduro, Dhruv Kalari, Advik Kulkari, Rishab Maniar, Akshat Nagarju, Anish Ravi, Aryan Ray, Kurish Sala, Shreyas Sanavan, Mahir Patel, Arav Vora, Manan Vyas, Tejas Sanavan. Congratulations. Congratulations to the 2021 GMC Middle School's Girls Novice Champions, Kriti Agarwal, Shrishti Hazra, Duty Mohan, Shrimashata Nalamathu, Trisha Ojha, Laya Paspaletti, Tvisha Patel, Sonakashi Roy Chatterjee, Nidhi Santosh, Vaishnavi Shankar, Arya Sinha, Ameya Srinivasan, Shreya Tekal, Tanvi Varanasi. And our final team for Mr. Pissaro's cross-country team, the 2021 GMC Middle School Girls Varsity Champions, Tanvi Amaharaju, Janavi Badavahalu, Anika Jina, Adya Patel, Dia Senthil, Sanvi Shah, and Avika Solankai. Congratulations. Our next group are our FCCLA group under the advisors of Ms. Kramer and Ms. Sego. Congratulations to our first place gold lessons in leadership team, Abahu Shiba Nar. Our first place gold Eat Right Budget Tight, Chris Yang. Our first place gold virtual banner, Fatima Zorhar Panawalo. And first place silver Web Connect, Sridhar Garg and Nitya Shani. And congratulations to ACDA All Eastern Honor Choir under the advisor of Ms. Gamboa, who couldn't be with us tonight. Congratulations to Anuja Sharma, Anaga Nagish, Janvi Parikh, Sanvi Panasaganarkar, Swarup Shashakumar, Nikul Malu, and Shriman Arji. Once again, congratulations to all of these amazing students. And now up, I'd like to introduce Dr. Shalop from J.P. Stevens.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see so many students here being recognized tonight and their parents here for support. Thank you to Dr. Bragan and the Board of Education for arranging this wonderful evening to recognize the achievements of all our students. Thank you to Mr. White for organizing the recognition information. Congratulations to all the students recognized so far tonight and their families. A special and warm congratulations to the students of J.P. Stevens for the hard work that you've put in to be recognized here tonight. I am very proud as principal that we have so many students being recognized here. Keep up the hard work. You will continue to achieve. And remember, Hawks always fly high. When I call your name, please stand to be recognized. When multiple names are called, please hold your applause until the end. I'd like to congratulate the coaches, directors, and advisors for being part of our students' success. So let's get this started and recognize our Hawks. First team, all conference. First team, all red division girls soccer. Congratulations, Mia Cheshire. First team All Red Division Girls Soccer, congratulations, Madison Giswaldo. GMC Red Division Sportsmanship Award Girls Soccer, congratulations to Coach Toporek and the girls soccer team. All Red Division, All GMC Conference Girls Volleyball. Congratulations, Laurel Sakaria and Joyce Chen. GMC All Conference Boys Cross Country. Congratulations, Soham Walavakar. GMC Red Division Sportsmanship Award for Boys Cross Country Team. Congratulations to coaches Azir, Clark, and Weber, and the boys cross country team. GMC All Conference Girls Cross Country. Congratulations, Anisha Oha, Zeal Shaw, and Grace Best. All Division Football. Congratulations, Clarence Dixoyne, Jaweel Palmer, and Neil Shaw. All Red Division, All GMC, First Team, Girls Tennis. Congratulations, Aaron Gaxey. All Red Division, All GMC, First Team, congratulations, Shreya Upadhyaya and Lauren Sun. GMC Champions, Girls Varsity Tennis. Congratulations to Coach DeBella and the girls tennis team, Sanjana Chitnis, Aaron Gaxey, Krithika Sista, Tanvi Yadav, Gracie Bardwaj, Lauren Sun, Shreya Upadhyaya, and Shubi Upadhyaya. Red Division Coach of the Year and GMC Conference Coach of the Year for girls tennis. Congratulations, Coach DeBella. Central Jersey Music Educators Association Regions Chorus. Please hold your applause until the end. Congratulations, Prakruti Ankam, Neha Degala, Ayushi Malik, Kushi Dengali, Anish Dharam, Kriti Mantravetti, Danya Desai, Garika Daman, Nikhil Mula, Shreya Iyer, Neha Adala, Krish Nambiar, Anumita Jasankar, Kinja Gajil, Ayush Patel, Nidhi Padmanabhan, Adwata Goswami, Aditya Singla, Anika Sood, Ananya Gunda, Snehiti Sridhar, Mansi Valetti, Stavia Gupta, Meta Valuri, Janavi Iyer, Navya Joshi, Shravan Venkat, Shreyas Basu, Keshma Karanaman, Dewani Venkatrangan, Rhythm Chaudhary, Shalval Lemay, Sanjana Mudukar, Ronit Chakraborty, my apologies, and Siddharth Laku. Congratulations. New Jersey Association for Jazz Education, All-State Jazz Choir. Congratulations, Shraddha Raul. Central Jersey Music Educators Association, All-State Treble Chorus. Please hold your applause. Congratulations, Rhythm Chaudhary, Adwata Goswami, Ayushi Malik, Nidhi Padmanabhan, Mishti Tomar, Mansi Valetti, and Dewan Venkatarangan. (2022) American Choral Directors Association All Eastern Gospel Honor Choir. Congratulations, Nidhi Padmanabhan, Aditya Singla, and Anika Sood. New Jersey Music Educators Association All-State Mixed Chorus. Please hold your applause. Congratulations, Ronit Chakraborty, Anish Dharam, Stavia Gupta, Navya Joshi, Siddharth Lakotu, Charvil Lemay, Sanjana Madukar, Mihir Malhotra, Krish Nambiar, Ayush Patel, Prahalad Rana, Aditya Singla, Meta Valuri, Sharvan Venkat. '22 American Choral Directors Association All Eastern High School Honor Choir. Congratulations, Shreyas Basu, Ronit Chakraborty, Rhythm Chowdhury, Casey Decker, Anish Dharam, Garika Daman, Stavia Gupta, Suved Joshi, Siddharth Lakotu, Charvil Lemay, Sanjana Madukar, Mihir Malhotra, Krish Nambiar, Ayush Patel, Meta Valuri, and Dewan Venkatrangan. '22 American Choral Directors Association Eastern Division Conference Performing Choir. Congratulations, Janavi Iyer, Shreyas Basu, Ronit Chakraborty, Rhythm Chowdhury, Casey Decker, Nahan Dagala, Anish Dharam, Ananya Gunda, Stavia Gupta, Sophia Han, Navya Joshi, Suved Joshi, Keshma Karanan, Varun Kari, Priya Kathamasu, Siddharth Lakotu, Charvil Lemay, Sanjana Madukar, Mihir Malhotra, Ayushi Malik, Shikta Mukherjee, Nikhil Mula, Krish Nambiar, Ayush Patel, Prahlad Rana, Aditya Singla, Anika Sood, Snehita Shridhar, Mishti Tomar, Meta Valuri, Shravan Venkat, and Dewan Venkatarangan. '21-2022 Central Jersey Region Band. Please hold your applause. Congratulations, Mia Zong, Alice Ping, Samantha Liu, Alan Zhu, Anisha Sapel, Rachel Nye, Meghana Mirila, Hong Cheng, Rishi Granani, Kevin Dai, Jeffrey Fang, Hannah Zhang, Mia Chen, Justin Nye, Benjamin Alter, Andrew Zong, Farah Mabwe, Siddharth Vaidya, Arya Shahani, Samar Munagala, Michael Liga, Anirudh Ramkumar, Elizabeth Wan, Christopher Wan, Rihanna Shirali, Saksham Kulkarni, Matthew Nispoli, Michael Galsam, Mohit Singh, Amol Bingard, Akash Kambli, Sanjana Iyer, Aditya Ashok, Andrew Lee, Andes Su, Shreyas Varde, Johnny Zhu, Nandini Bezawada, Brandon Chang, Vignesh Prakash, Ethan Wu, and Christian Granado. Our marching band is the state champions. Congratulations to Director DiNicola, Zazali, and Ferrali, and the 165 strong members of the J.P. Stevens Marching Hawks. They had the highest score of all bands in the competitions. Our next award is Central Jersey Region Orchestra. Congratulations to Justin Tam, James Zhu, and Alex Ho, and Adam D'Souza. Our 2021 and 2022 National Merit semifinalists. Congratulations, Nandini Bezwada, Rama Deshpande, Victoria He, Alex Ho, Varun Kari, Pahal Patel, Lauren Sun, Shreyas Varde, and Om Wani. FCCLA Fall Conference, first place national, first place gold. Jacqueline Trotman and Ananya Singhal, Sakshi Sethi, Nitya Anagala, Yashvi Patel, Ashna Agarwal, Mehak Patel, Abraham Talapragada, Ramrithvik Gadamseti, Dia Padangandi, Isabella Mokrower, Sanvi Naik, Nikki Patel, Anushika Sathuvali, Aum Singhal, Malav Shah, Jennifer Duarte, Sahili Brennan, Faraz Merchant, Siddhi Patel, Alyssa Negron, Anaya Marcus, Harita Trivedi, Shri Singhal, Aiz Mungal, Estelle Sang, Ashley Raj, Sahas Matharafu, Adesh Arjun Senthil Kumar, Adhun and Dan Senthil Kumar. Congratulations. FCCLA, second place national, second place gold. Congratulations to Amanda Chen, Maria George, Neha Patel, Sanika Patel, Nikki Patel, Jacqueline Trotman, Sharvani Ashtakar, Amanda Chen, Aditi Kudva, and Trishali Ganoju. FCCLA Silver Medal Awards. Congratulations, Benita Kezakapuram, Naomi George, and Anya Singhal, Logan Lanton, Kayla Penna, Anika Sandeep, Sia Sanjay Patel, Saray Bandari, Anushmita Dey, Guari Vaidya, and Haral Zalavadia. Congratulations to all our J.P. Stevens students on the wonderful recognitions they received tonight. Congratulations to the JAM students and the Edison High School students. It is my proud honor to introduce Mr. Ross to recognize his Eagles.
All right, good evening. I'd like to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Bragan, all of the administration for their work in putting this together, especially Mr. White. Especially, a lot of our athletes are still out finishing up their winter seasons. It's been successful. Can't wait for the June awards. We're going to have even more names. So we're going to start right off with, for the first time ever, the White Division champions under the coach Wesley Smith in tennis. Kalia Ravan, Sumia Joshi, Hina Edu, Moria Kandai, Lojeen Eldragabrawari, Perna Kulkarni, Ishani Kundaraju, Anjali Sharma, Dhruvi Patel, Sky Buyin, and Malika Manikantan. All white division in tennis was Moria Kandai, Anjali Sharma, Perna Kulkarni, and Kalia Ravan, her first year in tennis. Under the leadership of Coach Matt Fulham in football, we had first team all division, second team all area defense, Mr. Terrell Perez. On the offensive side of the board, first team all division, first team all area offense, first team all conference, Jaden Pert. First team all division, first team in all area defense, and second team all conference was Adekunle Shatu, Benji Guar, and Malcolm Stansberry. And the first team all division, first team all area offense, third team all conference, our quarterback now playing basketball, Mr. Matthew Yasko. Under Coach Diane Ferraro for boys cross country, we had all white division, Justin Farrell, Paolo Pittinger, Victor Osiemo, and Akshay Vadul. In boys soccer, under Coach Steve Rubin, we had all white division, all GMC. We had a great season. Give it up for Jaden Jackson and Jonathan Antonio, and all white division, Isaiah Charles, and our goalie, Matt Faria. Another big win that we had in athletics was our girls soccer team winning the white division for the second time in 3 years. All white division were Kaden Aravena, Shraddha Vamori, and Jenalyn Aravena. And the rest of the teammates for the white division champions, Madison Flanagan, Eliana Mazariegos, Casey Craigelo, Chelsea Go, Kylie Romer, Dia Grung, Isabella Charles, Emily Intercenti, Caitlin Rowdy, Mia Salazar, Abby Knott, Marina Murad, Julia Antonio, Emma Mohanty, Caden Aravena, Emily Matson, Ria Garung, Nieti Samarothu, Jaden Gonzalez, and Christiana Needham. In volleyball, we had Miss Denise, for Coach Denise Morrow, all-white division, Alicia Edwards. And our number one athlete of the fall season was our sectional state champ, first team all GMC, first team all state, all GMC vault, all around North 2 sectional champ, came in 4th overall in the state under the coach Leanne Salvatore, our own Haley Zampella. Rounding it out with some academic awards, we had the National Merit semifinalists, Srinidhi Venkatesh and Vasamuthi Venkat. And our Presidential Scholar nominees, Dhruv Shidhahe and Samitha Sangaraju. Hopefully, we get everybody out tomorrow night. Thursday night, we've got a home county game, probably against East Brunswick at 5:30. And I know Dr. Shalom wouldn't mind if I mentioned next Friday at 4 p.m., Edison boys are going to play JP Stevens boys for the City of Life Trophy. Again, thanks to everybody. So great to see such excellence out here tonight. And now, Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. This concludes our recognition night ceremony. I would like to take this time again to thank the board and thank administration for tonight. I'd also like to take the time to congratulate all of our students and staff members for their outstanding achievements. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you so much, Mr. White. We'll be taking a brief 5-minute recess, and our meeting will continue after that. 5 minutes. Thanks so much. That was a wonderful presentation. The student recognition is something that I know it's long overdue. It's nice to have it in person. It's been a special night already. We're going to move now to public comments on resolutions only. Does anyone have any public comments on just the resolutions? Excuse me, you're disrupting the meeting, sir? Please, keep your voice down or sit down, please. Any public comments on the resolutions only? The resolutions are the personnel labor relations, the administrative report, the curriculum and instruction, and the pupil special services and finance.
Hi, my name is Sarah Kerstetter. I have a question about the approval of the BABES program. My children both were in the public school at James Monroe and went through the BABES program. Will this be taught by the health department again, or will this be taught by the licensed professional people?
Is that your only question, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, you could have a seat. Thank you. Dr. Bragan, can you address that?
Yeah, the BAPS program is taught by the people from the Municipal Alliance, and they've been doing it for years in 2nd grade, and our teachers are also in the classroom while the program is taking place.
Excuse me, miss. I just have to see if anyone else has any other questions first. You just have a seat, and then I'll call you up again if anybody else has a question. Mr. Macropolis, please.
Well, we ran out of the agendas in the front. You got one up there for me?
Does anyone have an extra agenda up here?
Thank you.
You could stop the clock. Stay there. No, I got you.
Thanks.
So all the resolutions are on resolutions?
Yes.
Okay.
Start the clock, please.
For personal labor relations, I'd like to know if any contracts were given to family members up there, of board members. Settlement agreement, what's the settlement agreement on? Another sexual assault case? Will that be the 11th one for this year? Attorney, do you know? Okay, so you're just going to ignore my questions while I'm up here?
We'll wait until you're done with your questions, as is procedure, and then I will respond to the extent that the board president asks me to.
Absolutely. All right. Who's on the policy committee? I want to know. And I'd like that answered now so I can say, hey, Doug, if you say you're on the policy committee, you're already violating all policies.
Resolutions only right now, please?
I'm speaking about a resolution. It's about the qualification of people on the policy committee.
There's no policy on here.
I'm
Resolutions.
speaking about the policy committee, which is on the resolutions. I think we should have qualified people on the policy committee. You don't have to start. You don't have. You
Resolutions
don't
only,
have to, you don't
please.
have to start
Policy's not on
bullying
there.
us. You don't have to start bullying members of the public, attorney. I'm speaking about the policy committee, which is on the resolutions.
Where's that, sir?
Committee. All right, it might have passed that.
Okay.
All right. Legal representation. About the legal representation, the last time we came out with Lawyer Rubin, we said, oh, he has such a good resume. And she shows up. This time, the next time, I like you. I got no problem with you. But this is a typical bait and switch. I think you're very lovely. You're always very polite. But you do give them bad advice, which is going to cost them in a lawsuit. Very bad legal representation. I think the law firm that we had was a lot better than this politically connected Metuchen Mayers Bush law firm. The last legal representation we had was better suited for the sexual assault cases, up to 10 plus, that this district is now facing. And, you know, are those cases still going to stay with the previous attorney? Did those cases get switched over? We members of the public would like to know that. In regards to the Bush law firm, Metuchen Mayers law firm, I find it highly disgusting that they're representing us, especially the fact that, and she can't even give the proper advice because it's going to be a conflict of interest now, but why do we have the Metuchen Mayor, his law firm?
Resolutions only, please.
I'm talking about legal representation.
Yeah, the resolution does not have anything to do
I'm talking about the
with...
legal representation of
Which
right
is,
now.
if you read the resolution, it deals with McCusker and Salmi Rosen Carvelli.
I'm talking about the overall legal representation.
That would not be a resolution. This is the resolution.
Is that true, lawyer?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think that's true, but I'll go based upon that, because you're going to try to get me thrown out on falsehoods. So regarding that case, is that a sexual assault case? Meeting date and location changes. I want to know why that is. Is that going to be because we can't meet here at Edison High no more? Are they going to stay the whole time at J.P. Stevens? Are we going to go back to the Board of Ed meeting building as well on Pearson Avenue? We'd like to know that. But there's two. You said it's just on the McCluskey case. There's two settlements I see in front of me. So what about the other case? What's that about? So the legal representation doesn't, only on G, what about F? What's F about? You're just going to look at the clock to see? when it runs out. You guys were the same people who complained Jerry doesn't answer the comments during the time, and now you're doing the same exact things. Very typical of hypocrites. But everyone gets to see that now. Finance resolutions. Are there going to be any resolutions being awarded to your family members, Doug? Are there going to be any resolutions awarded to your family members and friends? Any of yours, the EDO? Are there going to be, Ms. White, Mohan, there's going to be any finance resolutions, Shivi?
Time, sir.
For your friends and families?
Time's up, sir. Thank you. Would anybody like to address any of those questions? Ms. Blackwell, Byrne?
I can, as far as the settlement is concerned, one is the special ed matter. The second settlement.
You walked out. Go ahead.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I recommend that we answer the questions.
we'll answer the questions. Ms. Blackburn, go ahead.
The first settlement is a special education settlement with a student. The second is actually named, and the settlement agreement is on file in the Office of the School Business Administrator. The legal representation resolution is to continue the firms that were handling matters currently in litigation in the interest of cost controls for the district.
Thank you. And as far as the question, is there any family conflicts? The answer is no. Ms. Kristetter or anyone else have a comment on the resolutions only? Would you like to come back up and ask a question?
Dr. Bregan, so we're going to have the health department secretaries teach the BABES program like they've been doing, and not the actual licensed BABES program come into the school and pay for the actual program that's coming into the second grade. And I'm asking this because when my kids were taught this program in second grade, they were told and asked during instruction how many of your parents drink with a meal, and they made the kids raise their hand, and they discussed about coping, and that you need to tell your parents that this is not how you cope with life, not to have a drink, and things like that. I think that's highly inappropriate for second graders, especially when the Department of Health is teaching this program and not the actual BABES program. So are we going to have the health department continue teaching this, or is BABES actually, are we going to financially put out the money for the instruction?
Is that all?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. You can have a seat.
I will look into that and get you the question. My understanding is it's overseen by the Edison Municipal Alliance and the Youth Services Commission. In the past year or so, 2 years probably, it was done remotely, and there were videos that were put into the classroom. At this point, I think our staff members and our teachers are very comfortable with the program, teaching the concepts themselves. But I'll find out. I don't want to misquote it. I want to get the exact information for you on that.
Okay.
And I do have your email, and
Yeah.
I will follow up with you, Mr. Kershaw.
Yeah, because I just, you're asking students who are in second grade to go home and tell their parents how to cope with life. That opens a door with a lot of stressors, and kids can be in conflict. You're making the kids be more adults. It should be taught by the actual licensed people, not the Department of Health.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kristetter. Can I have a motion for approval of the Personnel and Labor Relations Report? Motion. Motion from Mr. Shi, motion. Second?
Second.
Ms. Madiger, second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Burrell Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
All yes, motion is carried.
Can I have a motion for the administrative, curriculum and instruction, and pupil and special services
Motion.
items on this. Mr. Biro Patel, motion. Second?
Second.
Mr. Shi, second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Burrell Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. Peng,
Yes.
Mr. Shi,
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider.
Yes.
All yes, motion is carried.
The next one, we have a finance resolution, but I'd like, Ms. Gluck, if you have information about the two latest finance, just for the record. You have two bids that just came in, I believe, today, that are on this, that was shared with the board, and I would like, for the record, that those to be read.
The first bid was bid number 22-25. It was for the asbestos abatement and disposal at Edison High School gym. It was awarded to SMAC Corp. At the bid amount of $85,000. The second bid was bid number 22-26, and that was for the asbestos abatement and disposal at Edison High School auditorium and cafeteria and the John P. Stevens High School cafeteria. That was awarded to Unicorn Contracting Corp. at $243,000.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gluck. Can I have a motion to approve the finance resolutions?
Can I have a quick question, Board President?
Yes, Mr. Shi.
Yeah, just to clarify, these are for three different projects that's coming up. What is the, have we considered combining these two bids together and bid together, and what is the rationale to bid them separately?
Dr. Bragan?
Yeah. We had to bid them separately because they're two separate jobs that are going to take place at two separate times. So the HVAC with the cafeterias as well as this auditorium renovation were combined as one bid, and the other bid is going to be done at the end of school when the students get out, hopefully that weekend after the 17th, which is our proposed graduation date at this time. So there were two separate bids, and there were two separate times they're going to take place.
Yeah, I guess that's the reason I just want to make it public to aware of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shi. Motion to approve the finance resolutions?
You already have the motion.
Mr. Biro Patel, motion second.
Me?
Mr.
Second.
Shi, second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Burrell Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. Peng,
Yes.
Mr. Shi,
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider.
Yes.
All yes, motion is carried.
Thank you so much. Next, we have committee reports. This is the first time we're doing this under this board. What we're going to be doing is really making it clear to the public, basically, the highlights of the meetings. We do have more in-depth minutes and things that is accessible. Nothing is obviously ever something that we hide or keep under wraps for any reason. It's just that it's important, instead of just reading out a bunch of minutes and word for word what happened verbatim, it's important that the committee chairs articulate to the public and to those of you that are here or watching at home what the highlights and what the most important things are to take away from these committee meetings. And I will tell you, as a board president, I've had the opportunity to sit in on some of these meetings, and they are extraordinarily productive. What you see on this dais and what we do in the public is a small percentage of what happens within this district. And, you know, it's not always the stuff you see where all the magic is happening. And certainly the public and the public comments and the emails we get and everything else is vital for us to know what's going on. But we really do rely on our administration, who's doing a great job. Obviously, the building principals, the people that are really on the ground, you know, and articulating what their needs are. And we as board members, we sit in and we provide this foundational framework to really ensure that we provide a check and balance and we ensure success here in the district. So we're fortunate to have very, very successful faculty and staff, not because a stroke of luck, it's because they work very hard. So thank you for that. And I will tell you, this board works very hard. So the first meeting that we had, I'm going to tick down within this agenda and talk about each individual committee a little bit and just turn it over to that committee chair. But the first one listed here is the Budget Planning and Oversight Committee. So this committee met. It was more of an orientation. It wasn't kind of an official committee meeting. We have three between now and the next time we meet in public. There's going to be, I believe, 3 meetings chaired by Mr. Biro Patel, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So you're not reading out an official committee report tonight?
No, since we had just the preliminary meeting, we'll have a full meeting for preliminary budget, next week on 23rd February. And then we'll have 2 more meetings, 1st March and 15th February.
Yeah, so between now and the time that we meet next, there's going to be a lot to talk about.
Board President?
Yes, Mr. Patel.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
In regards to this committee reports that you are going to be presenting.
Yes.
When you're saying you're just giving the highlights of it, what if there's questions regarding those highlights, and if public does not know what you guys discussed, or even if other board members do not know what you guys discussed in your committees, how are we going to ask those questions that we want to ask? And we just have to wait until once you're done reading those highlights, and then we don't even know what you guys discussed. So I would like at least, or I would like the public to at least know what was going on in the meeting.
It's a fair point. Mr. Patel, I would say that there's probably a good balance there, because when you do it in minutes form, for example, there could be like this overarching facility improvement, debate for months and months, and then when the minutes are read, if it's just buried in the minutes, it's hard for the public to follow along. So it's so important that rather than do minutes, that all of the chairs of each committee highlights what the most important things are. I know you're not insinuating this, but there's definitely no secrets. So whatever we need as a board to communicate to the public and to each other, certainly the communication is wide open. So I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but
Mr. President, can I jump
I
in?
believe that, like Mr. Shi provided us with a very detailed food committee report. And then when he gives that to us, what I will ask Mr. Shi is, well, that's a really detailed report. What can we look forward to with food? What's the most important thing? And it's just for a good conversational flow to this meeting so the public really understands what's going on. Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, I just want to jump in because this is a great conversation and a great talking point. In the past, we never done this before, so we're trying to do this now. So the document that was provided, it's new to all of us, so we're trying to maneuver it, I would say. To me, my understanding was put the highlights in the agenda, what's talked about, and I kind of like that in the fact that I'm intriguing you to come in. I want your participation. I'm listing what we're talking about so I could do my 3-page report. If I give you my 3-page report, you're not going to come and see what I'm going to do because you already know about it. So I thought that was the purpose of it, to get some public discussion, get the public involved. But I do agree with Mohin in the sense that, hey, if we want to submit minutes, then we need to submit accurate minutes. Or if we're going to do highlights, then we need to do highlights. But it's the first time around doing this, so I can understand there's a little bit of confusion. So I think, all of us should just get together for 5 minutes and say, hey, what do we want to do?
I agree with you. I think that we'll have to work on this as a board. The other thing is that, and whether the public understands this or not, if we're all together, it's a public meeting, right? So we can't, the 8 of us, sit around and just chat about these committee reports. We have to actually do it in front of you and publish that we're doing it. And, this discussion has to happen out in the open. So when I think, to Mr. Patel and Mr. Rivera's point, there's probably a good balance between providing highlights, a Cliff Notes version of what's going on, and then the really super detailed version that maybe some things could get lost in translation. I think the best thing to do is to provide that balance, and then obviously if anyone has questions, all of our emails are published. If you have building-specific questions, please contact your building principal and go through the proper channels. Is that, answering any questions?
Actually, I have to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
So,
Patel.
in the packet that we got and what the public gets is basically your committee report, and it says business discussed, kindergarten, high school quarterlies, grouping procedures, middle school, AB elective schedule, biology, right? Just to give you an example. Now, I don't think the public is going to be prepared to answer any of these questions that if they have, but they don't know what they're gonna, what to ask for if you don't give them the details as to what you're trying to do and accomplish. Because if I read this report, basically all I see is department title change. What department are we title changing? Why are we changing it? What's gonna happen if it changes? So these finer details are basically had when we have some information in front of us beforehand, so we could talk about it, discuss it. You don't have that time, or you don't have those questions answering abilities over here right now, because they're all already talking, you're talking about other stuff, they're gonna be talking about other stuff, and the details gets lost in minutia. You understand? So what I'm saying is this report, this new way of doing it is great in one way, but it's not, because you're not allowing the public the ability to have questions that they really can go out and research and do due diligence on before they come here and ask. So
I appreciate that comment. Something that the public should understand is that none of what we're talking about is a voting item. So what Mr. Patel is saying, he's saying, well, you haven't released this information because you're about to, you know, you're going to sneak one by the goalie. That's how I'm hearing it. And that's actually not what we're trying to do here. So these committees are working in tandem with the administration to make sure that administration is kind of working within their framework to help our students. We then provide that sounding board, check and balance. We're elected to do that, right? Now, any details, it's not like these committee reports were just done after the vote. We're not voting on anything else tonight. So there's nothing that can be decided tonight based on the public not knowing about it, based on these committee reports. This is something that, you know, if all of us get together, you know, for example, the food committee report, we got that today. I mean, does that help the public that we got it today? I don't think so. But we didn't vote on anything. The food meeting was great. Mr. Shee's going to talk about it tonight. I don't see how that, you know, how there's some sort of, you know, benefit to everyone that committee report is done tonight or later or whatever. I don't know. But again, I think your point is taken. I think that I appreciate what you're saying. So I think maybe a balance of a more detailed report and something that is a little bit more highlighted would be effective. I know from sitting on the other side that at times when there was minutes, it was very confusing to me to keep track of everything that was being said. And when you're reading a paragraph, I remember at times people it wasn't even listed. It's not like often, you know, the minutes were actually provided beforehand. It was something that was just read up here on the dais. So at least we're providing something.
Mr. President, can I comment?
We could do better, but we're going to work on it together. Yes, Mr. Rivera.
You know, I appreciate, Mohins, your comments. You know, I also want to reiterate, we've never done this before, so we're trying to implement it now. Right now, is the form accurate? Is it the best form? Is it the best way to do it? You know, when I looked at this, 2 of us followed the form, another one didn't, and other people didn't even complete it. We're trying to do our best to be transparent to the public. So right now, it's a work in progress. I agree with you. I could give a lot of detail. I got a 3-page report here. You know what I mean? Just like we've done in the past, but we're trying to take steps forward. I hear your concern, and I agree with you. And I think, Doug, the middle road of what you're saying, what to do, and figure this out, I think we could get that accomplished.
I just also want to point out, Mr. Rivera, that this form that I sent to everyone was from the New Jersey School Boards Association, you know, manual and best practices. This is not something that Edison created. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We certainly didn't invent school boards. So it's something that people use all over the state of New Jersey, and it's something that I thought would work well here. And as we look towards minutes and details, we could incorporate that and make sure that everyone's happy with the transparency. However, this is definitely a form. This is not something I created.
Thank you.
Board President?
Board President, can I?
Yes, Ms. Peng.
Yeah, of course, I'm not chair of any committee, but when I see this template that's sent out, it's like students receiving assignment from a teacher. First of all, I've never seen this in the past like 5-6 years, that a template was sent to a chair of the committee, that they have to follow a template in order to write a committee report. Second of all, I think committee reports is for people to know that what have been proposed or what have been recommended as a change. But this, for curriculum, for example, there's only a title here. Nobody knows what has been changed. And to Brian's point, if this is to attract people, attract parents or staff to come to talk about the issues, I want to see how many people actually come here, how many parents or staff members come here to talk about the curriculum, or because of they see an issue on this agenda, on this committee report, they actually want to come here to talk about. If you do, please raise your hands, and I want to see how this actually works.
Very good, thank you.
And another point is the committee report is not just for pre-meeting. It's for post-meeting too. When people want to find out what has been proposed, a lot of people don't have time to come here. They don't want to spend 3 hours watching the video to find out. They want to look at the committee report to find out when and what change has been proposed or recommended by the committee. And right now, this has really no information for them to find out, to see what's really happening.
Ms. Peng, with all due respect, if we're talking about wasting time, this committee report form went out weeks ago. So if you felt that it wasn't appropriate, you could email me, you could call me, you could send me a text. You could say, hey, I don't agree with this. And then this way, when we're up here, we're not talking about it in public, so we could then get to the nuts and bolts, which is actually the curriculum meeting.
Right, this is the, if I could add something.
Yeah.
This is the first time, like you said, we're using this form, but we weren't expecting that it was just going to be a summary or a title or just 3 words that says what you're going to be talking about. So once we see it now that this is what you're talking about, that's the reason why we're bringing it up to you.
It was a couple days ago that you got the committee reports. This isn't the first time. You got it in your packet.
Well, at least the public knows why we're questioning it at this time.
Yeah, but
So
we could have changed
they
it
need
for
to know.
tonight.
So we should change it.
All right, we'll talk about it in public, and then that's fine.
I just want
Yes,
to
Ms.
speak.
Madiger.
So I think what is really important here is, I mean, there are various obviously topics on this committee report, and I think, and this is more for the administration. So I would hope that each of these topics, whichever student group this is affecting, so for example, the high school quarterlies, the high school students that it's affecting, the grouping procedures, if an email could go out to those parents and those students as soon as possible with all the details, so the affected population knows the change that's coming. And I know that that is typically communicated, but if we do that, then it's going to be helpful. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Shi, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so just I don't want to beat a dead horse on this. So, you know, the committee report is not only for us, the board members, it's also for the public. If I recall, at the last year's BOE meeting, we have BOE members who saying that they need to see the reports way before the board meeting so she can ask the questions. And when I look at the report, I couldn't ask any questions because there's no detailed information. And the other thing is, it has been in the past when I have to look for on certain dates that we have discussed certain things at different committees, right? So what I have to do is I have to just flip I just look at the agenda item, look at what's in the meeting minutes, you know, and all the committee discussions are in there. I agree with you. Some of the committee reports might be too detailed, but to me personally, I love to see a lot of details that may be lost in the translation. Because the report I really like to see is Mrs. White's report. And I've never been to these, you know, the liaison meetings of the last year. But when I looked at her report, I know exactly what's happening in the meeting, what has been discussed, and so on. So yes, so probably we should strike a balance somewhere. But since this is the first time we see the report, it's being generated this way. So that's why the feedback comes in, and we can discuss as to, you know, what is the best way to do it. But in my personal opinion, and you know, I think the current format by the other committees is a little bit too high level, and it's not providing some detailed information to generate discussions for the board members at the podium right now. And we have to listen very carefully what's being said, which is part of our job, but you know, the same board member who has used this as excuse last year and about that. And so let's see what we can do to strike a balance. And you know, that's the point. You know, it's not only for us, it's for the public, and it's for someone, you know, down the road, look back at what we have discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shi. I just wanted to mention, though, and I'm addressing the board now, if we don't talk in between meetings, it shows the public that we're not a very high-functioning board. So I would encourage everyone on this board, and I'm making a personal appeal in public right now, that if you have preference on how committee reports should be, we talk about it. So this way we're not talking about it here, because we could be talking about the children and everything that's important. We're talking about very important things here with the reports, but it's stuff that we could do. This is nuts and bolts of the meeting that I welcome all of this feedback. This isn't a strong feeling I have with how the report format is. This is a very, very basic thing that we could just talk about. People are clapping about a report format. So we'll do a different report format. But let's talk about it ahead of time so we're not wasting everybody's time. That shows that we're a higher functioning board, that we're working together, not just at the meetings, but in between meetings. I think that would be fair.
Board President, can I make a comment?
Yeah, Ms. Peng.
Yeah, you were talking about, why didn't I raise this question earlier? Because when I received the format, the template, I didn't really think this is going to be seriously enforced, because,
What do you mean by enforced? Did I enforce anything?
But today, when food committee chair sent a report using his old format,
Right.
didn't follow this template, you asked him to rewrite that report. So
Did
this is
I?
why the issue.
Mr. Shi,
came up.
please correct that. Did I?
No, you did not ask me to rewrite.
And how would you, I emailed Mr. Shi. Did I ask you to rewrite it?
No, you did not.
Thank you.
You did not say rewrite.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So basically, you came up with a form. We're trying to figure it out. It's a work in progress. We'll get it together, and hopefully, everything will work out for the next board meeting.
Yeah, so, Board President.
Yes, Mr. Shi.
I totally agree with you. We need to work together to be more functioning. But the thing is, we cannot have board members who is having double standard. They have a standard last year, and now this year they have a different standard, right? So, yes, we need to be transparent. We need to discuss the thing. So I don't even know that, if there's something that you prefer to have these things discussed in private, so we can solve this. But since this involves, 6, 7 committees, and I don't want to generate an email that will violate the sunshine law and so on. But if right now you're saying, hey, let's work together and discuss down the road, I'll be more than happy to take that route and go that way. But, we try to know each other and try to find out what is the method of working together. And, during the campaign, and people say, oh, we want to be transparent, want to do everything, want to have discussions in public. So, that's why the issue was brought up here, so we can discuss in public. But, I know we have more important things to do, which is the contents of these report. And so let's go from there, go to those issues, and then we can work out the format a little later. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. So moving along here, so our first committee report, I should say this, the Facility Improvement Committee, I mentioned this last meeting, that's going to be held February 28th at the caucus, in the caucus room at the Ed Center from 6 to 8 o'clock. Public is invited. There will be a public comment session at that meeting as well. Again, that's at 6 o'clock on February 28th. That's a committee of the whole. The Performance Monitoring Committee has a meeting coming up at some point, right? What's the date on that? Do we have a date yet?
Which one?
Performance Monitoring.
No, we don't have a date yet.
That will be coming up. Policy Committee, we're still working on replacing our chairperson. Somebody brought up policy before. That'll be an exciting thing. That committee met once last year, so we want to make sure that we get somebody in, and maybe we could meet some more time. So moving along, we have the Curriculum Committee, the Township Liaison Committee, and those committee reports tonight. So curriculum, that seems to be the hot topic, Brian. So Mr. Rivera, take it away.
All right, guys. Hello, everybody. I'm glad you came out to actually hear this report. I'm excited to chair this committee and work with the administration. Curriculum is the heart of the district's most important concern, which is student achievement. As board members, our role is to approve what is taught, to monitor the process, to ensure what is being taught and being learned, and to make sure that resources needed for learning are available and being effectively used. We never function as a rubber stamp for the administration recommendations, and at the same time, board members shouldn't let their own judgment and viewpoints override the educational experience of our professional staff. Ideally, we work together to make informed decisions based on our experts' recommendations, along with supporting material that is provided. With that said, here are the topics that were discussed at the curriculum meeting. I just want to make that as an opening statement because that's straight from New Jersey school boards. That's what we should be doing as community chairmen and leaders. So I wanted to make sure I made that comment. But we have a lot to discuss here. We have so many topics here, some great things going on here, and I was very excited to be at this meeting and talking with fellow educators about how we move this district forward. We met February 3rd at 5 p.m. at a virtual meeting. We met for a good hour and a half, and it was very passionate conversations because everybody has their own opinion about education and where we want to move our kids. But it was a great, great conversation. And one of the things I didn't want to steal Dr. Bragan's thunder or Edison Public Schools' thunder, but we talked about kindergarten. It was a great, great, great conversation, something that we want to put back in Edison Public Schools.
So, Mr. Rivera, let's stop there. Kindergarten. Dr. Bragan, do you want to fill us in on what's going on with kindergarten at this point?
Well, I was hoping Mr. Rivera would take that.
I have it.
Go ahead.
I got 3 pages of notes, apparently, that I
Go ahead.
didn't share.
The
But
plan,
I have it here because I wanted to talk about it in front of the public. But I have to say, Dr. Bragan, your administrative team did a phenomenal job of this because I did do checks and balances with you as a fellow guy that runs a building. So I did want to talk to the public and let them know. Based on research gains, I got to give this to Ms. Beninder. Based on research, gains from full-day kindergarten last all the way up to 4th grade. Students attending outside providers, not as prepared as students in a half-day program, providing full-day benefits over students socially and academically. Their gains in academics by providing full day and everyone will be on the same playing field. So they did their homework. They checked it out. They looked at what the benefits are for bringing back full-day kindergarten to Edison Public Schools. They compared it to outside providers. So I have to give them credit. They took that initiative, and thank you for providing that data. Again, we want to do this correctly, so what did we discuss? We discussed about the enrollment. What is the projections of kids coming in full-day kindergarten? I got to give them credit. They're talking about it. They're figuring it out. They realized more focused instruction due to the number of kids in the classroom. So now instead of having half day, you have them full day. It's focused instruction. The committee also developed they're going to be looking at the curriculum, because now, remember, it was a half-day curriculum, so now you're trying to make it full day. So you have to review it, you have to adjust it for full day. There was discussion about budgeting, resources, materials. Again, enrollment's going to be much larger. We need to make sure we have all that. We talked about training for staff to make sure all of our teachers are prepared for a full day. We talked about even transportation. We're realizing that we're getting all these new kids here, probably about, 500 kids we talked about, Dr. Bragan, coming in here?
500 more.
Now we're talking about transportation. They're already looking at routes. So I have to give them credit that they have a timeline for the implementation of full-day kindergarten. So I didn't want to steal that thunder. It was great conversation, and it shouldn't come from me. I wanted it to come from Dr. Bragan and his administrative staff, because you worked very hard to get this done. I am taking no credit for this. Thank you very much, Dr. Bragan.
So it's very exciting, Dr. Bragan. So this full-day kindergarten will start. This is something that's been worked on for years, and we're finally going to be able to do it. And when does it start?
we're going to send notice out, to the community tomorrow, and we plan to start on September 2022. Registration for kindergarten will start as of tomorrow. The process is totally online. People should not have to come to the enrollment center unless there's some issues with their documentation or things they have questions on. So we're real excited about it. As you said, we've been working on this for a long time. The benefits, speak for themselves, as Mr. Rivera referenced briefly. And the information is going out tomorrow. Anybody has questions, concerns, feel free to contact our office, your building principal. And as Mr. Rivera stated, we reviewed some of the logistics in the Curriculum Technology Committee. We'll review those more as we move on, as it becomes, as the process becomes more real as we approach that date. There may be some logistical issues that pop up, and we'll address those as well.
And I'm sure you've considered all of the challenges that we'll be facing. Enrollment, we talked about that. You'll be able to do enrollment online. We're looking at probably a net positive of another 400 or 500 students coming in, right, that previously had chose half-day kindergarten, or they chose full-day somewhere else privately. So now they'll be coming to us full-day. And besides the academic benefits, obviously the skeptics will say, do we have room for these children? What say you? We got room?
We do have room.
Okay.
We do have room, and one of the things with the numbers, that's a good question, because that comes up a lot. You know, if the past is the greatest predictor of the future, right? And typically in our kindergarten enrollment, right now it's around 750 students currently in the half-day programs that we have. And we usually see a bump of 30 to 35% in first grade, but you know, we don't even have to use that prediction. We're going to look at what our first grade numbers are this year, which is around 1,200 students, 1,250 students or so. That's the number we're using that we would have for kindergarten. If those students had full-day kindergarten, that's the baseline we're going to work on, and we're pretty sure we're going to be fairly close to that. So, yeah, we're excited about it. One of the transportation issues is the buses are going to those elementary schools anyway for those students that are eligible at the elementary level. And it actually might even be a break-even point with those additional students, because currently with the 2 half-day programs, those are 4 bus runs that will be combined into 2. So we're taking all that into consideration and planning, and we're going to implement September 2022.
Perfect. All right, Mr. Rivera.
Board President?
Yes, Mr. Shi.
Do you want us to talk about these topics one by one, or you want us to hold until the end of the committee report?
I think we'll hold to the end, if you don't mind. I already broke up Mr. Rivera's flow here, so I prefer that you check it down. The kindergarten thing was going to be a little bit longer, so let's move along on the high school.
The kindergarten thing, I really wanted that to come out as something positive and something that the district will look forward to. So there's 9 topics here. I would say 7 out of the 9 deal with the day-to-day operations. So we did have conversations in regards to this. Again, these are conversations that central administration brought up to the board to have discussions. But again, day-to-day operations, I don't think the board should interfere with, because it could be technically an ethics charge. So some of the things that they talked about was the high school quarterlies. Again, this is something that they did last year. It's canceled due to the staff and students being out. Other forms of common assessments will be done to make up the grade. Students will not be affected by this. Quarterlies will return back next year. Again, because of the pandemic, because that we had students out, again, because we had staff members out, it was difficult for them to implement the quarterlies, so it's decided not to do it, not to hurt our students. Grouping procedures. Again, due to the pandemic, they will remain the same as last year. This isn't something new. One change will be made between algebra and geometry honors. Waivers will still be provided for students. Everything else will remain the same and posted. Criteria for next year is being reviewed for hope of some type of normalcy. Again, issue with the grouping procedures because of the pandemic. Middle school AB elective schedule. So I'm going to say this very quietly because apparently this was a hot topic on WhatsApp. So I just wanted to make sure everybody hears it correctly. So just my background, so you know, I've been in education for 22 years. I've been an administrator for 14. And I've been scheduling buildings for 16 years. So I kind of understood the conversation. Again, very passionate conversation with the people that were in there. But when we were looking at this, we took recommendations from central administration. We asked questions, as we should do our due diligence. But at the end, we need to do what's best for the district. So the good thing I got to give props to the administration is that they actually took the initiative to go back and speak to the teaching staff. I have to give them credit. There are administrations out there that just make decisions. They don't take the input from students or staff. So I will credit them for that. So electives that are currently being offered, I want to make sure I say this so everybody listens. There's computer science, there's family consumer science, there's technology, there is art. If we do not make a change or look at that, there's a fear of losing these programs. The numbers are getting too large, and we're not finding capable people or certified people to pick up these classes. So that was one of the issues that was brought up. So there was a discussion in regards to an AB day or alternate days. I've scheduled this in the past, but now you're looking at the program itself. Do you want to keep the integrity of these programs? So in other words, if I'm having family consumer science on Monday, I am absent. I'm not going to see my teacher until Wednesday. Where's the continuity in that program? Also, I am teaching family consumer science. I have 150 kids day one. Day two, I have 150 different kids. How is that fair for a teacher to manage that? How is that fair, Mr. Shi? I know you had this argument to put 300 grades in. It's difficult to manage, and if anybody did scheduling, you would understand that. So idea is to fix the problem and come up with solutions to fix the problem A, but keep what you have going on streamlined and working. So there was passionate conversations. And I'll give credit to Ms. Shivy, who argued with me left and right, because she was passionate about certain things. So let me continue with the other 8 bullet points to this. Some teachers' rosters were over 200 to 300 kids a year. Protection of our programs and meetings needs of all of our students. I even brought up a suggestion. Do we want to do semester, or do you want to do marking period 1, 3, marking period 2, 4, where there is a flow? Then do a pullout. All these options were brought up. Teachers were asked, what do you think best fits your programs? This wasn't a one-sided discussion. It involved everybody. I want the public to understand that. Change is needed to meet the needs of our students by keeping these programs. Supervisors were charged. What can we do to keep the kids involved in music and language if offered first semester? Ideas were developed, strategies being developed for students based on the semester. They had these conversations last week. Instruction time doesn't even change. The amount of minutes to these programs are the same minutes. In fact, they're offering more minutes. It's just being structured differently. So these are conversations that are occurring. Again, it's not my job or the job of the board to interfere with the day-to-day operations of the school district. They bring up suggestions, we asked our questions, we had passionate conversations, then the recommendations go to the superintendent. If the recommendations don't work after a year, that's when we revisit it and we fix it. But to not look at this is an injustice to not just our students that are taking these particular classes, but the staff that have to teach this. I normally wouldn't be speaking like this, but again, I don't like getting screenshots from WhatsApp. So I wanted to make it very clear there was a very, very heavy conversation in regards to this. And at the end, it's not my decision or anyone here on the board. We're not voting on it. It's our central administration that needs to realize or see what's best for our children, and they make that decision. So that's number 4. I still have a long report. Biology, past discussions. This came, again, I'm new to what's going on. I did not know past discussions, but all 9th graders take biology. Currently 5 days with a 6-day lab, double period just in case lab was extended. They're finding out the time is not being used for lab. Lab can be completed in 1 period. So the rationale was our administrative staff, our supervisors, spoke to other districts in the area, and they realized that biology is being done within 4 days and a lab the 5th day, which opened up our science labs for additional science classes to be offered, AP classes to be offered. We just found space and time to offer more classes and sciences to our kids. To me, I think that's a positive. But again, that's something that we need to discuss with central administration. Again, they did their research. Again, they spoke to other districts regarding their science programs. Again, this was a suggested practice. High school electives allows for students who are interested in elective but was afraid to take a second category. So they're making all electives a level 1. So now you're taking that entry-level elective, then you would have to go to a level 2, and then you would have to take it a third time to get in honors. Now they're making everything a level 2. So you have your second year, you have the option to take the honors course. That's a win-win for our kids. But also those kids that want to take another elective and are afraid of their GPA, of taking a level 2 class, now it's a level 1. It's a win-win for our kids. Department title change. So the department back in the day, with the criteria the state had, they had it as 21st century skills. Now, as the years have progressed, standards have changed, titles have changed, they want to change, instead of 21st century skills, to career technical education. Changing the name they feel will entice children to be looking into that. And with that said, since there are some title changes, there's also some course changes and some approvals. In other words, communication, technology, and photography went to digital media and photography. To me, that sounds more enticing. I'll be more interested in taking that class. Wood materials changed the introduction of woodworking. Wood materials processing technology changed to advanced woodworking. Wood materials processing technology 3, advanced woodworking 3. Kids understand the titles, kids will be more interested in taking these courses. So Dr. Bragan and Gail, Beninder, those are the 8 that we discussed in the meeting. And then the final part that I want to talk about is we met with special services. I know people had concerns about the Special Services Committee not existing. We married them. So we were able to speak to Thomas, and we talked about special services. The focus of the department in upcoming years is to improve the instructional practices in the ICR programs. We had a discussion on the benefits for special ed students receiving full-day kindergarten. We talked about supportive setting, making up that 80% of classified students are district-wide. Discussion on past trainings for self-contained classes. Again, there should be a focus, needs to be on instructional practice, including pre-K to 12. We talked about the status of the special education supervisor. We talked about long-term department goals, again, to improve those strategies and practices in inclusive setting based on a student's needs and grade level and staffing correctly to get it done. We talked about transitional programs, post-secondary life highlights, post-COVID, and then we talked about 2 events. A counselor from Middlesex County College will come speak to our parents in regards to a transition to IDA and ADA, and then there will be a second event hosted by the department state speaker. He will speak to parents in regards to students not attending post-education and pursuing a job. I'm sorry I didn't catch the names, but it was difficult to write all of this down while the meeting was going on. But I do want to say, I want to thank central administration and the board members that participated. I want the public to understand that this was a great conversation. It was a very passionate conversation with individuals that have different ideals. So at the end, we made our points. We brought it forward to central administration. And again, they run the day-to-day. Now it's on them to decide if they want to implement the suggestions that were there.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Do any board members have specific questions about
Board
this?
President,
Yes,
in regards
Mr.
to
Patel.
that report, that detailed committee report, is there a possibility for us to get a copy of it so we could actually go through it again and see what was discussed? Because
Sure,
some of it
Mr. Rivera will email that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Board President, I do have a few questions.
Ms. Peng.
Yeah, and again, yeah, I would prefer if I've seen the detailed report so I can maybe ask more specific questions. So are a lot of parents and maybe staff members, because as you said, stuff we're talking about in WhatsApp even in December. And we have received emails from actually high school teachers, especially in band and art department, regarding to that AB schedule. So are we sure if we change it to AB, so this is going to be done by semester, or is this, what's the recommendation, by semester or
Well, here's the one
by
thing.
marking periods?
Here's the one thing.
Mr. Rivera.
Any emails should be directed not to board members in regards to the day-to-day operations. It should be reported to Dr. Braken. Am I correct, Dr. Braken?
That's correct.
So if any teachers are actually sending emails to board members in regards to aspects like that, they shouldn't be doing that. They should be referred to the superintendent. So I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
Well, so I don't want to get this conversation, continue, but Dr. Brigham was copied on the email. Thank you.
The entire board is all copied on the email,
It
actually.
shouldn't be occurring.
So what is the answer for, so
See,
you're saying if the teachers having their concerns,
If the teachers have concerns about programming, they should be reaching out to their immediate supervisor or their building principal or central administration.
okay.
We should not be dealing with the day-to-day operations of the school district. This was my argument in the past.
But the committee is dealing with this issue right now, right? So that is day-to-day. So what is your recommendation for?
It's not my recommendation. We
The
had a
committee's
discussion.
recommendation.
You're discussing it.
Yeah.
You're discussing policy.
Correct.
You're discussing issues that might not be, we wouldn't know about if they didn't tell us, then we would have to think about it, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of your committee report. If you're just giving me a highlights and I'm not knowing what the details are, how am I going to ask you a question at this stage in time? Or how is the public going to ask you a question in this stage in time? So,
But we already went through that. We agreed. I
So-
agreed with you before.
Back to the specific question.
Ms. Peng.
So if this is done by marking period by semester, we're saying the students, instead of doing it every other day, they're going to not touching their instrument for half a year, or for like
They will be
2
touching
months
their-
or 4 months, and not seeing their teachers for 2 months or 4 months, and then still be able to pick up.
So
when
there
they
was
go to
two
high school.
options that were given. So, and I stated in the report, there was a discussion of either doing it marking period 1 and 3, 2 and 4, and doing a pullout, and there was discussion about morning and afternoon.
What is morning and afternoon?
They were talking about maybe morning or afternoon programs. They haven't decided if they were going to do that. My understanding, Mr. Bragan, and I don't want to speak for you, but there was a conversation in the last meeting that music teachers, band teachers, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they wanted to do second semester.
So, Mr. Rivera, do we want to ask Dr. Bragan? Where do you guys
I know the answer. but-
stand on this?
The concern, I think, was reviewed at the committee, is that the staff
I know
were
we have to do it
concerned.
correctly.
Mr. Rivera. hold on.
Sorry?
The staff were concerned that they were seeing a great many students over a course of 2 days. As I think you mentioned, Mr. Rivera, 125 students one day, another 130 students the next day. It's really difficult at middle school to, one, connect with those students and to get into the depth of knowledge we would expect for those curricular initiatives. And it's also really hard to keep staff. Some of our foreign language people, which many people know that have been coming to these meetings over the last several years, it's hard to find. And we also often have those staff members teaching additional periods, which we know is sometimes very tiring for our staff. But also to interact with 250, 280 students over two days when you're teaching French or Spanish, it's really difficult. It's difficult to connect, difficult to get the curriculum across the way you want it to, where the students can actually learn it, have some degree of mastery, and be able to hopefully one day be proficient in a different language. So, and as well as some of the many of the other electives. One of the concerns that was mentioned in the committee, we had discussions at length, as Mr. Rivera indicated, passionate discussions, which are great because it helps us get better, was that if we went to a semester format, so as somebody mentioned on the board, if I had music in the fall semester and I wouldn't have music again until the following fall semester, I wouldn't be practicing or touching my instruments over the course of the spring, right? So we understand that. So we thought about having it as a marking period and maybe alternating the marking periods, 1 and 3, 2 and 4, or some iteration thereof. Again, allowing the teachers to have that more in-depth instruction, more intimate relationships with a smaller number of students. That's proven, that's effective. That is better. There's no doubt about that. We also explored the idea of somehow having the larger groups of the music classes meet in the spring and having the pull-out sessions occur in the fall. We're exploring all those options so that those students, particularly with music, right, which is an art that needs to be refined on a regular basis. You can't play the trumpet for 4 months, put it away, and pick it up 6 months later and expect to be at that same level. We get that, right? What's the adage? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Right? Practice, practice, practice. We understand that. So we don't want to compromise any of our music programs. You saw the lovely students here tonight, as we do regularly at John P. Stevens High School in Edison, regularly get awards, regularly get recognitions. You know, I see Mr. D. Nicole up there. I've known him for my 20 years working with J.P. Stevens. We have great programs. We have great kids. We do not want to compromise any of that, and we won't. We'll find a way. We'll make it work where we can accomplish both things, and the students get to have the instrumental practice throughout the course of the year. You have my word on it. We understand the issues. We're going to resolve it as best we can and mitigate the problem while still dealing with the issue and making sure that we don't sacrifice any of our programs at all. It's the last thing we want to do. You know, and sometimes you look at the things that go back and forth in social media, you know, the calamities and all the other silliness, and, you know, sometimes it's best just to ignore that and stick and focus on what really matters, which is the children. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brigham. Any other board member comments for the curriculum? Ms. Madiger.
So I just want to thank
Mr.
Dr.
President, I haven't
Bragan.
finished my question
and
yet.
Oh, okay.
That's just the first question.
Ms. Peng.
It's okay, let her speak.
Ms. Peng, go ahead.
The second question.
I apologize.
The second question is about the biology. So we are thinking about changing it to, I didn't quite get it, 4 periods? The
So-
lab is still 2 periods. We're changing it to 4 days a week? Or we're changing it to 5 periods?
So
A week?
my
Lab is changing to 1
understanding,
period?
they're changing it to 4 classes, and then the lab is the 5th day. They use the 6th day as an extension to see if they can complete the lab. Okay,
What is 6 days? There's 5 days a week.
There's a double period.
Yes, that's what currently have. They have 5 days every day, and the lab is 2 periods.
Yeah, it's a double period, so it'll be a 6th class.
Yes,
technically,
so the change is to
To 5.
So we drop
To
one.
5
Dropping the
periods?
6th period,
So we're dropping the 6 period. So lab is only 1 period.
correct.
Okay, every day they still have biology, but lab cuts to 1 period.
Correct. That was suggested.
So I have a quick
So
question,
the-
Board President.
No, let's.
The
Shannon-
5
let Shannon-
credits, so biology used to be a 6-credit course. Now it's going to be a 5-credit course?
I'm looking
That's
at Gil.
correct.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. And
And
if I may answer that a little bit, Ms. Pang, the issue is, people talk about overcrowding in our schools, and they mention, as you know, at John P. Stevens, we've talked about it regularly, coming down Grove Avenue, how we get in, how do we access the building, the number of kids in and out. Major issues, everybody knows that. One of the other major issues is classroom space. We don't have the physical space to offer as many classes as we would like to. And that forces us, with the increasing number of students that are going to take biology, that extra period is a problem. We don't have the space. So it will be reduced to 5 days a week, and that cuts down on one of the labs. And we're going to make sure there's not a compromise in the integrity of the program. But these are some of the logistical concerns we have to deal with when we have a building that has 27 students that was built for 1,800 students. We went back and forth. We talked about it at the curriculum committee meeting. We talked about it with the teachers. And again, I think Mr. Rivera mentioned this numerous times. This isn't done in isolation. This isn't Bernie Bragan, Ms. Polakowski, or Ms. Mahabir sitting down and saying, hey, let's just change this because we got nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. It's coming from the ground. It's coming from instructional staff. It's coming from teachers. It's coming from the administration, the supervisors that work in the building. And we're presenting the best options. And sometimes, as with life, it's a choice between the 2 worst options, the one that's the least worst. And that's where we are.
Dr. Reagan, just.
Mr. Shi.
Yeah, so.
Excuse me, Ms. Peng, are you finished?
I just want to, just want to interrupt it for real quick.
Mr. Shi, excuse me one second. Ms. Peng?
We just want to clarify certain things. We're not
Mr.
accusing
Shi,
anybody.
it was,
Yeah.
Ms. Peng had the floor. I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
make sure she was
Yeah.
finished first.
Yeah, so have we got buy-in from the teachers? Because right now, they're gonna have to cut a 80 minutes lab into a 40 minutes lab, almost, right? So that's quite a change. Also, if they are taking 5 periods per week, are they going to take, they used to take 6 periods a week. Now, do they have to take another class? How does that work? And also, another thing is our standard, Edison standards for high school students to graduate, they have to have 17 credits in science. The physics is 5 credits, the chemistry is 6 credits, biology is 6 credits, that's exactly 17 credits. If we cut the biology to 5 credits, that's only 16 credits. So either we have to ask the students to take another science class, or we have to lower our standards from 17 credits, the graduation standards from 17 credits to 16 credit. Which way are we going? Brian, do you know?
Dr. Bregan?
That's
Yeah.
a great question.
The specifics on that, I don't have the answers, so I don't want to get up here and misquote something and say something that I'm not 100% sure of. So, Ms. Pang, I will get you that answer. I'll put it in an email to the full board, and we'll send that out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a quick question.
Mr. Shi, did you want to say something?
No,
Okay,
Shanna, you
Mr.
done?
Patel.
Shanna, are you done?
No, yet.
No, continue.
I have another question, the high school
Okay.
electives. So you were saying, so we're changing from level 1 to, all the level 1 to level 2, or changing level 1?
All the level 2s are being changed. Wait, hold on, let me make sure I say it.
It's to level 1.
Yeah,
The 2 is to level 1.
yeah, 2
We're
is the level
changing
1.
all the level 2 to level 1. Which one is the higher one? The more challenging ones?
One.
Is
1.
level 1, right? But a lot of classes, like for example, electronics, automotive technologies, they have, right now, they have a prerequisite. So are we eliminating those, we're just eliminating those prerequisite at all, or we're changing all the classes to level 1? Because there's no level 2 classes anymore, right?
Are you asking me that question? I think the specifics that you have, Ms. Pang, would be helpful if you put those to me in an email, and I can get you all those answers, and we'll share it with the full board. Again, it's been a long time since I ran the high school schedule at John P. Stevens High School, and I don't know it as intimately. I was at the curriculum committee, we did participate in those meetings, but I don't have that all committed to memory.
Thank you, Dr. Bregan. Ms. Madiger?
So I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Dr. Bregan and his administrative team for bringing back full-day kindergarten. This was taken away in 2010. And besides providing better learning to students, I believe it's going to bring $4 million extra in aid. Dr. Bregan, am I correct on that?
I wouldn't be committed to that, but that's the rough idea we looked at. When it comes to state aid, it's based on enrollment. And right now we have about 750 students, but that really only equates to 375 because they're considered half-day. So that if you went from 375 to 1,250 students, right? That's, while an increase of 500 students, actual students, full-time equivalence is much more. And we do project that potentially, don't hold me to it, could be as much as a $4 million increase in state aid.
Yeah, so majority of school districts across the state have a full-day program, so students in our district were being shortchanged, and now with this, we can bring them at par with other districts. So thank you for that.
Sure. Board President, I had a question.
Excuse me, Mr. Patel.
I'm done. Thank you, Doug. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Patel?
Sure. Just before we change the topic, I just wanted a
Yeah.
quick question in regards to that committee report. When you change your biology labs from 2 to 1 now, right? The practical learning that the kids are getting in terms of what they're reading in the books, it's actually much more enhanced, and they actually get what they're reading when they do the practicals. So now if you're cutting that in half, how is learning happening in terms of what they might be missing? What are we going to do for the gap that they're missing regarding that education?
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Dr. Bregan?
like I said, we'll get all the specifics out on that. I don't want to misspeak or say something here to the board that I'm not 100% sure of. We'll follow up with an email and clarify all those questions. The problem we do have is space over and over again, and I get the time on task is probably the single greatest indicator of a student's performance, so we want to provide them as many opportunities as we can. But if we have the class 6 days a week and 6 periods a week, and we can't have 500 students take that class because we don't have space, that's not helping those students either. So I will get you that information, and I don't want to misspeak about it in public until I have it all in front of me.
Thank you. Mr. Shi.
Okay. Thank you, Board President. I just want to clarify a couple of things. Brian, you mentioned grouping procedure got changed. What was the one item that changed? Can you share with us? You mentioned one item was
Yeah,
changed.
based on my notes, and Dr. Bragan could correct me if I'm wrong, one change will be from Algebra 1 to Geometry Honors from A- to A. The decision was based on data. Apparently, some of the students were struggling with A-. That's why they're keeping the waivers will still be provided.
So we're changing the entrance criteria from A- to A, or is the other way around?
That's correct.
A- to A.
Yeah.
A- to A, so we make it more harder for the kids to get in?
Yeah, but we have the waivers. So waivers, can I speak, Doug?
Yep, Mr. Madigan.
So we have the waivers, so any parent or any student feels like if they've gotten an A- or even a B+, if they want to go and meet the counselor and say that they want to go for the higher level course, they will have to sign a waiver and they will be able to get in there.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. So they could go to B+ if they want to. Okay, so that's the only change. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you want to
This is
follow up?
from
Mr. Shi?
Yeah, let me, the other thing is about the AB schedule, right? So I stand by everything that I said in a WhatsApp, and it's my personal view. So people want to take screenshots, feel free. And, what I said is what we received from the teachers, from the parents. The concern is what has been reiterated, multiple times here on the podium. And for languages, right, if you only do one semester or one period, the other period you're not touching the language. We all know, Dr. Brigham said, practice, practice, and practice. Same thing with music, right? Music, you want to have a band. Let's say you need to have just, 2 clarinet players to have a band. And just because the way that schedule goes, you only have 1 clarinet player. And how this is going to impact our band program, moving forward. Because I have been a band parent for 7 years. People might quote me, I have a bias toward the band, but I have a little better understanding with the band than I think the other programs the same thing. The strings and choir. You need certain players to play certain instrument to have a decent band. Without that, how are we going to move the program forward? I know you have pull-out, you have all these things, but how is that going to moving forward on that? And my other question on this is this 200 students registering in class, is that across the board of all the middle schools, or this is only certain middle schools? If the answer is certain middle schools, can we try to do the pilot of this AB schedule in the other schools? And as a committee, what we're looking for is recommendation from the committee to the board, right? So we can discuss it. We don't want to micromanage the administrations, but we are here to challenge them, to bring the public comments, the public opinions to the administration to think about it, right? So that's why we are asking these questions. There's no way that in here we try to micromanage. When we mention about we receive emails from parents, from teachers, and so on, it just naturally happens. We don't respond to them. We send it to the superintendent. That's the way that it happens. You can't say, hey, do not send to the board members. You cannot. And I can walk into a supermarket. I met someone that they will talk to me about school issues, and I'll listen to it. But That's the way it is. We cannot say, don't do it.
So if I could
Right?
add to that.
Let me finish, right? So, as far as the biology is concerned, we all know last year we changed the physics from 2 periods, physics lab from 2 periods to 1. And now we're changing biology from 2 periods to 1, okay? And a lot of other schools, they're having the 6 periods. And are we shortchanging our students for that extra period? And are we committing down the road, this is a temporary position, solution. Down the road, if we have more classrooms, we're gonna bring this back. Because I do think if we continue to cut this, we're gonna shortchange our students. Compared to the other schools, high-performing school districts, Short Hills, Princeton's, West Windsor and all of that, we are shortchanging our students by cutting out 1 period, no matter what you say. That's a fact, right? So do we have a commitment from our administration that we're gonna bring it back? Or we're gonna move forward with that? And Mrs. Pan brought up a good issue that, right now, if you look at the program of studies, for science, we're asking for 17 credits to be graduated. Now we're changing it, and the state minimum is 15, right? We have 17. We have a higher standard for our district. That's why our school district is among the top school districts, because we don't go for the minimum. And if we continue to push back, we are going down to the minimum, and we're not challenging our students, we're not giving them enough opportunities for them to advance. So, that's what I'm gonna say. So whoever wants to make comments, they can comment on it.
Just to chime in there, Mr. Shi, I agree with you. When you have more classrooms, I think situations change, and I think that we'd have more opportunity. And we should, I don't know if a commitment is necessary, but certainly it makes sense to me to, obviously one of our goals, and we'll be talking about this in a couple weeks, is more classroom space. And certainly labs should be something that we're talking about. That should be a collective goal of ours.
Yeah, so the other thing is, I know this is not an ideal situation, right? When you're in college, when you register for certain classes, right? A professor can teach, let's say, 200 students. The 201 students, when they try to register, you say, hey, your class is full. My class is full. You go register for some other classes. Have we considered capping the students for those classes? Again, is that a problem across the whole middle school, or this is only for certain middle schools? If it's for certain middle school, can we do a pilot before we apply to the entire school district?
As I said previously, we'll get an email out to the full board explaining those issues that were raised.
Okay.
That's fair. Very good. Any other questions on this specific committee report before we move along?
Board President,
Yes, Ms. Peng.
I'd like to ask about the grouping procedure change, Brian. You said from Algebra 1 to Geometry, that's from 7th to 8th grade. We're changing the criteria from what to what?
A minus to A.
Yeah, hold on, I don't have it open. A minus to A is correct for me, I don't have it open.
Just pull the microphone down, Mr. Rivera.
Mr. Shi was right with A to A minus. I'm sorry, vice versa. I don't have it open.
A minus to A.
Currently, the criteria is B minus.
I think it's geometry to algebra 2, probably. Is that correct?
It's geometry to Algebra 2, that's from middle school to high school. From 8th to 9th grade, we're changing that.
Okay.
From A minus to 1 to A.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we clarify this in the email. Whatever the situation is, the whole board needs to know 100% to make sure it's accurate. Is that fair?
100%.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I closed the document.
That's another reason we want
This
a
is
little bit more.
another reason I would
Exactly.
really prefer a one-liner even if a one-liner underneath this topic grouping procedure, which means nothing really, I get nothing out of it. If you just have a one-liner say this is Algebra 1.
Ms. Peng, I hear you
geometry.
loud and clear on the form. I hear you.
You guys hear me? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, just
Okay.
just to elaborate a little bit more on what Brian said in regards to teachers not sending emails to the board or whatnot. We get thousands of emails when there's an issue out there from the unions telling the teachers to send us, hey, listen, mask this, not this, that. So it's okay for that, but we can't hear from what the teachers have to say regarding some things that they have issues with. I just wanted to put that there, Brian.
Thank you. Okay, moving along, we're going to go next to the Township Liaison Committee meeting.
Doug, sorry, Board President.
Mr. Shi.
Yeah, can I get an answer? Is that the issue across the board for the middle school, or this is only for certain middle schools?
I think that would be answered in your email, right?
That is correct.
Correct, okay.
Is that email shareable to the public? Because people want to know.
Yeah, if somebody, we could make it something that we discuss either in the next meeting in public, or we can
talk in public.
talk about it. I mean, I don't.
Whatever, yeah. Because
why don't we talk internally as a board, and we'll figure out the best way to do it.
yeah, because I don't want the people to say, hey, you guys are doing this, behind the scenes and stuff like that. Cause,
No, we'll make sure.
But the other thing is the public have to understand, every email that the board member is communicating with each other,
Excuse me.
it's operable. So, if you really think that, we're hiding secrets and stuff within the emails, Oprah it, we're more than happy to provide that to you, right?
Thank you, Mr. Shi. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. White. So we had our Township Liaison Committee. I was fortunate enough to be there. And Ms. White, we had some excellent people there in attendance from the township. So if you don't mind, take it away and tell us all about it.
Okay. I promise I'll try and be quick for you all.
You don't have to be quick.
And if anybody needs a full report, for the board here, I'll be happy to provide it. Okay, Township Liaison, and the meeting date was February the 8th. We started at 11 and we ended actually at 12:04. Board members in attendance were Douglas Schneider, Shivi Madakar, Mohan Patel, and myself. Administrators in attendance were Dr. Bragan and Dr. Adarelli. The others in attendance were Vice President Joyce Ship Freeman, Deputy Chief Robert Dudash Jr., Sergeant Douglas Turner. We had Jamel Davis, a representative from Frank Pallone's office, Congressman Pallone. She was wonderful. She gave us some very good information. We had Deputy Chief, Fire Chief Andy Toth, Office of Emergency Management Coordinator. And we also had Pat Coyle and Ray Alcantara. He's the Chief of Staff for Mayor Joshi. And we also had the interim business administrator, Matt Watkins. So we had quite a few people here. I have 11 points of interest, okay? The first one is the legislative proposals available for school districts, and that's from Congressman Pallone's office. We had the update on the COVID cases and the transmission rates, which as of today are 0.51, which is really great. High school students' possible careers with Office of Emergency Management Coordinator Andy Toth and Joyce Ship Freeman, they're doing that video. Traffic concerns at J.P. Stevens High School, Herbert Hoover Middle School. The police department did do a study at J.P., and it was, it was good. We tried to they're going to try and make some changes there. Herbert Hoover, that is a work in progress. They're aware of it, and they are going to make some changes there, so that's a good thing. Number 5 is safe school campaigns. They're thinking about opening Gloria Avenue, that's for Woodrow Wilson Middle School. A traffic light is being considered at the corner of Boulevard of Eagles and Old Post Road. I don't know if that's going to really be a possibility, but if not, they're going to look into an alternative thing. But it's not forgotten. It really isn't, Maria. No worries. Okay, Transit Village Grant, interim BA is going to look into it. Sidewalks at Floyd Street and Hollywood Street are to be fixed. James Monroe, they have parking area concerns. Our our enrollment is huge. So, they are going to look into that as well. And they're also working on limiting the truck traffic on Jackson Avenue, which is such a nightmare for those residents. We've discussed this before. Let's see, the police are going back into our schools for drug education programs in 5th and 6th grades, which is wonderful. I mean, it's got so many positive things for it. Our police department is so helpful, and they're willing to, they just go that extra mile all the time. And they're also advertising for the Advanced Junior Police Academy. The crossing guard issue is still there, but improving. They had 4 new guards that they hired in our training, which is wonderful. It doesn't sound like a lot. 1 is a lot, so we're really happy that that's moving along in the right direction. So, that's about it for me with this. The next meeting is scheduled for March the 15th, and hopefully we'll have another report for you then.
I know, Ms. White, you have an initiative where you're trying to get congressional representatives, state senators, people like that at these meetings. And something that Ms. Davis did for us this time was to provide us a follow-up that provided grant opportunities, correct?
She did. She was wonderful. And Congressman Pallone sent a beautiful letter, to me for the board and for the liaison committee, because you know how great I think all of you guys are. You're so wonderful with that. And she also provided us with a couple of pages of different grants and opportunities that the board can, pursue. I forwarded it to Dr. Bregan and to Doug, and we are going to look, review it and look into it. There are a lot of good things. I am going to try to get the state senator here next. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. But, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the board on that specific committee report?
Yes, Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Patel.
So, Mrs. White, did you discuss about police presence in the elementary schools? Because I remember last year, until November, that was one of the agenda items.
The police?
Could you repeat that, please, Mr. Patel?
Yes, sure. About police presence asking for police presence in the elementary schools.
Thank you so much. With these things, you can't really hear. Yes, the police presence, they will be in our schools. That's why they're starting those new programs, which is, I think that's so good, because I think our students look at police in a different perspective when they're in their buildings and they're helping them and providing them with information that they need, just for every day. So they are going to be there. The Junior Police Academy, which was limited to younger children, they're now expanding that to high school students, which is another good thing. So the police are great, and they're doing their jobs.
Right, so if you can, in the next meeting, if you can please ask Doug Turner about, putting police vehicles outside the elementary schools.
Okay.
Because I believe from last year they mentioned that they will work on it. So we just want to make sure that happens this year.
Anything that you want brought up before the liaison committee, if you just drop me an email, I'll be happy, to,
I'll do that.
Bring it out to them. They're very open, they're very receptive. All of our guests, or all of the people that are including in this, they start out as a guest, and then they're just always invited. They're always there for us. So, and they're always willing to help. They never, decline. They really don't. So, but if you have a question, or you want me to bring something up, I'd be happy to do it for you. Don't hesitate.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. White. Any other questions for Ms. White before we move along?
Yeah, Board President.
Mr. Shi.
I am so glad to see Floyd Street on your report. Floyd Street. That street, Floyd.
Floyd by
Floyd Street.
Yeah. That street is a horrible, horrible shape. It's a narrow street, no sidewalk, the puddles, potholes all over the place. And I'm so glad that it is on the agenda to be fixed. Do we have a rough time? Is that to be?
We confirm that the sidewalks are in, quote unquote, it's in engineering.
Yes.
Whatever phase that is. I don't know how
Yeah.
close that means timeline-wise for our students. But it seemed like it was in the process, and there will be sidewalks on that Floyd Street.
Fantastic.
And then
fantastic.
also, of course, the potholes were addressed. I know Ms. Madiger was very passionate about the potholes, so we made sure we mentioned those. And especially after the snow and the ice, they only get worse.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably one of the worst streets
Yeah.
in Edison, is right next to a high school,
Yeah.
which is very busy traffic.
And you know, I'm passionate about the Jackson Avenue corridor there with the
Yep.
truck traffic. And if there's a way we could work with those warehouses, either by ordinance with the cooperation of city council or with voluntary cooperation, it's important that our parents aren't waiting forever to get into the school in the mornings and in the afternoons for pickup. So it'd be nice if we made some progress there.
Yeah, just want to clarify, the Gloria Avenue at Woodrow Wilson, is that the last street that gets into the Woodrow Wilson
It would make
Boulevard?
it more of a loop coming out, yeah.
Yeah, is that the last street? Because there are multiple streets connecting to it. Is
It's
that
the last one, yeah.
That's the last one?
You know, the police department is on it, you know, they're there, they go, they look at it. It's not like they just say, yeah, we'll, you know, and, you know, go on their way. But they go out, they do a traffic study, and they just move things forward. The Floyd Street, thanks to Moen brought that up at the meeting, and they also, they're going to check on that one. As far as the sidewalks go, it is engineering, and they do things, it seems to me that they do things in sections. And I think the weather has a lot to do with everything, because you can't pour concrete at a certain degree or something, so I'm told. And I think that might not happen till spring, I have that feeling. But, if it happens before, well, it'd be great. But I think it has something to do with the temperature outside, and if they're going to do it, they might as well do it right the first time and just be done with it. But I mean, as far, Jackson Avenue is, that always was a major issue with me, because I thought it was just terrible that those people couldn't get in, out. They can't even put their trash out. It's just a miserable thing. But they do know it, they are aware of it, and they're trying different things, either voluntary things with the businesses way down there, because I think there are warehouses there, and that's where the trucks, and that's where the problem is. So they are trying different ways to correct this problem. I know it sounds, we're saying the same thing over and over, but I think we just need to have a little bit of patience with that. We will correct it, and we're not going to let it be forgotten, for sure.
Can I just
Thank you,
add
Ms.
something?
White. Ms. Madiger.
So yeah, just piggybacking on what Virginia talked, Floyd Street is a real problem. It's also and I always keep bringing it up, I know Joyce is sitting here. It's the entrance that the seniors used to drive cars into the school. It does not have a sidewalk, and it's full of potholes. And a lot of students get dropped right there and walk into the school. And you can only imagine when the weather is bad, when there's a little bit of snow, students driving, potholes, no sidewalk, lots of students walking in. And that's why that is something that must really be a priority, because it's just an accident waiting to happen on that road. So I hope that we can get this addressed real soon.
Thank you, Ms. Madiger.
Full President?
Yes, Mr. Shi.
So, as I mentioned, that there are multiple streets, on the site connecting to the Woodrow Wilson Boulevard. Some of the streets are wider, some of the streets are narrower. I just can't remember Gloria Street, is that the wider of all those 4 or 5 streets? I hope that it is, and if that is the case, that'll be great. I would hope that I trust our police department will do their job and find probably the widest one to connect. The other thing is we have a multiple schools that's only one way in and one way out. Are we gonna work with our police department to consider the possibility of some other schools as well, or this is for now? This is it. The other thing is, it's not related to this, but just a side note. The township, DPW, and our maintenance department has a very good working relationship in the past. We have been renting, borrowing equipment, for different things in the past. So I hope, moving forward, that practice will continue, and the DPW director will speak to our facility head, and we can, borrow equipment to save for our taxpayers instead of, each side has their own equipment. And I hope that process continues, and I hope this process does not need to get to the mayor's approval. If we borrow something that we need the mayor to approve on certain things, I hope it's not gonna go that way, and let's keep the current process going. And the last thing is, I mentioned a couple of times, it is regarding the quote-unquote illegal students attending our schools, the students who live out of town. And in our personnel agenda, we had a new position posted, a data analyst. We spoke at the closed session meeting. We reviewed the job descriptions. The thing I'm looking for is, can we work with township to get the tax data from the township? It's a public record. Can we get the data from township, which has a people's address and who the owner of the house is? And we use that data to run against the data we have in our student registration to find out the parents that register in our systems, are they the owners? If they're not the owners, it's okay. We have a lot of renters. So let's go follow up with these people to ask them to submit their rental agreements. And we're going to mark that in our system, and we'll run it every year, just to find out the ones that could potentially be an issue. So if we can work with the township at the next meeting or in the future meetings to get the data for us to run against our own database. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shi. Any other board member comments about the Township Liaison Committee? Okay, moving along, the board president's report regards upcoming meetings. We have our caucus meeting, which is a preliminary budget approval meeting.
We don't have the food committee meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. The food isn't on here, but we had the food. Thank you, Ms. Madiger. The food, which I was there and it was great. So, Mr. Shi, let's talk food committee.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
No problem. So if people, I have the food committee on the Friday afternoon. So when I was having the committee, a packet of today's meeting was provided to us. So that's why it was submitted this morning. It was a late afternoon meeting, and I don't have any time over the weekend, so I did it last night, and it was submitted to Judy this morning. And sorry for the delayed submission, but that's the best I can do. So as you can see, the summary is a different format. It has more stuff in it. When I submitted this summary report to Judy and my committee members and board president, I was asked to give a Cliff Note version of this report. I will try to do my best on the Cliff Note, but the thing is, in my opinion, I think some of these stuff are important, and some of the other people might think it's not. That's why I put some details on this to provide more meat into our discussions. So ask me to do a Cliff Note. I don't know how Cliff Note I can a simplified version I can do, but it's important that the food touches every single student in our school district, and I think it is important I give a little bit extra in there to have people to read what has been discussed and what is happening in our school district. The other board members might not agree, but, you know.
I don't think
we can
anybody
discuss
disagrees,
that.
Mr. Shi.
Yeah, we can
We'd like to
discuss
hear
that.
your report.
I'm sorry?
I said, I don't think anybody disagrees with you, actually.
Okay,
Just want to
thank you.
hear about the good food.
Okay, that's great. So we had a meeting on February 11th, 3 o'clock in the Education Center. In attendance was Mrs. Pan, myself, Doc Schneider, and Jeannie White. Jeannie was on the phone. And we had Dr. Bragan, our BA Ann Clark, and Pat Kassang, who is in charge of our food services. And then we have 2 representatives from vendor, Jeff Beckelman and Amita Caldwell. Amita Caldwell is the representative for our district. I'm very impressed with our food vendor that, you know, they came really prepared with a good pamphlet and with all the data for every month, every school, lunch and breakfast, the breakdown, how many, what is the participation rate of each month since September. I'm very impressed with that. And data, as I said before, people lie and data do not. This data is very, very helpful for us to pinpoint some of the issues we have. So the first item is staffing. Marshall is 92% staffed. They're short about another 9 people. So all the serving stations are open except the J.P. Stevens snack bar. But the snack is available on the serving line, and the faculty room at Edison High School. The faculty lunches are available in the student cafeteria. And it's important we have to mention that district faculty menu is available online, and they will be delivered to school. Okay. Again, Marshall's provided district monthly student participation data, breakdown by each school from September to now. The breakfast participation is relatively low. The entire school district total participation is low, 20%, right? 80% of kids are not eating breakfast. But it varies from school to school, right? And for some schools, that's in single digits, and for some schools, that's in 60%. So again, with this data, it will help us to pinpoint certain schools. So there's 4 schools we identified as John Adams, Woodrow Wilson, and the 2 high schools, right? They're all in the single digits. And what they're going to do is, you know, if you look at the high school here and J.P. Stevens, the cafeteria is not, it's a little bit further down. And maybe the student doesn't have time to go and grab the lunch. So what they will do is they will have a grab-and-go cart near the entrance where the bus drops these kids off, so the kids can go pick up the lunch and do that. And the same thing with John Adams and Woodrow Wilson. John Adams, the cafeteria is right there. I don't know what the issue is. So, but we do ask our administration is to open up the school a little earlier. To allow the students to get in. And the students are not getting into the classrooms. We know there's the teacher union contract, there's a certain parameters, controls how many minutes a teacher needs to be in the classroom. But we just open up the common areas and let the students go there a little earlier to have time to grab some food. We want to see the participation rate go up. And for the lunch program, the average participation in the school district is in the mid 50%. But we do see some variations between school and school. And the range is from mid 30% to the mid 60%, big differences. So we're going to continue to look at those schools with a lower participation rate, and we'll see what we're going to do. And from September to now, Marshall has provided more than 1 million meals to our school district. They have some special programs. They have a fruit and vegetable rotation schedule. They have monthly seams into menus into the monthly lunch menu. The recent one, the Super Bowl, is the barbecue wings versus the buffalo wings. I don't know which one won, but they told us they did dish out a lot of the hot sauces. All right. There was some additional literature for the food ingredients because there were some of the concerns at the beginning when we switched to the food vendor. Parents were concerned what are the ingredients in the food program, in their menu. So those additional information were added onto the digital menu. And halal food is available. In high school, we're expanding that to the middle school based on the needs. And as a lot of parents know, they have something called a multicultural menu, which has the food from different parts of the world. Based on their data, the Mediterranean and Latin dishes did better than Pan-Asian and Middle Eastern. So we made sure that the pizza is not part of the Middle Eastern menu. So they are developing new menus based on the feedback and popular demand. One of the things they mentioned is about the pho, the Vietnamese noodle. So they're trying to do something about it. They're also doing developing a tasting menu of plant-based vegetarian recipes. They're going to make it available in March to go around the district for the students to try out. And the very important thing is, the students with severe food allergy, please inform the school nurse, right? We have a resident dietitian. They will work with your family one-on-one and introduce to a program they call Food Allergy Management Program. Right now, 7 manuals has been developed for these severely food allergic students. So please work with the school nurses, and the dietitian is going to work with you one-on-one to make sure that your student get the services. The other thing in the part of the packet is the meetings and meeting minutes from Marshall for each of the schools. From October to December, they had meetings at each school with different schools' food advisory committee for feedbacks and improvements. They listed what are the things that they prefer, what are the things that they want to see. It's very informative here. We, the food committee members, asked Marshall to provide us the future meeting dates so we can participate. This is a very proactive thing for them to do to get the feedback. And I don't know if people still remember that during the discussion when they first came in, we discussed about working with local restaurants to deliver pizza to school, right? The fresh pizza beats the frozen pizza, hands down. But due to the strict nutrition guidelines and the recent price increase, it is challenging. The nutrition guidelines says each slice of pizza has to have 2 ounces cheese on it, and they have to have all there's some special requirements for the flour. But they're not giving up, and they're still looking to collaborate with local pizzerias. There are some logistic issues. For some of the smaller schools, we don't have a warmer that can keep 60 pizzas. So there are some of the stuff that the pizzeria cannot continue to deliver every 15 minutes. So that's something that they're going to work with the local restaurants. The very important thing is the participation rate has been higher since they came in. In the past, before the pandemic, our participation rate was in the mid-30%. And now, as I said, the overall district participation is in the mid-50%, and the range is from 30 to 60%. So that allows the vendor to be way ahead on their reimbursement guarantee. So the vendor, in this business, every school district, the vendor will provide some reimbursement guarantee to the district. We are right now approaching $1.1 million. If the trend continues, the anticipated guarantee could be $1.5 million. This is money from the vendor. This fund can only be used for food-related purchases, such as kitchen equipment upgrades. And we know that we're building Lincoln School. The Lincoln School kitchen money will be coming from this fund. And we're looking at John Adams to upgrade their kitchen. And the other thing is JMP. We all know that JMP, they're serving the food in the hallway. That's been there since my kids were there. We had a design about 2-3 years ago to drop a kitchen in the back of the serving area. Looks like we're going to be on target on that, but the details of that we're going to discuss at the facility committee because it's a facility issue. The good thing is the money is there, and we can do a lot. This is a great thing that with this new food vendor. And the other thing I really like is they set up 2 scholarships in each high school right now. This is something that I'm looking for any of the vendors to give them back to the community where they make money out of it and giving something back to the community to show your appreciation and so on. So this year there are 2 scholarships. They'll be awarded later school year for each of the high school students. And they discussed it about fundraising for future scholarship. They were talking about Marshall bringing chef to work with culinary students to host a food tasting dinner. This is something planned next year. And so it's a full course dinner, and you pay an entrance fee to get in. At the end of the day, you select which dish is your favorite. They mentioned to us that in the past in the other district they were able to raise $6,000-7,000 at each school. So we're looking forward to that. So the meeting was adjourned at 4:40 p.m. and submitted by me. There's one thing I missed. I asked Mrs. Penn to help me on this. Mrs. Penn asked a question about certain choice of food. What was the question that you asked? Can they get 2 fruit cups to replace certain things? I'm not sure if the students and parents know that. Did you remember the question you asked them?
Oh, yes, it's if the student can choose between fruit cup or the juice. So if they don't pick up the juice box, they can pick like 2 fruit cups, which has, I think a lot of kids prefer to have the fruit cups.
Yeah, and the other thing is, we mentioned about water. Unfortunately, water is not the reimbursable item, the federal program. So water is for purchase. So unfortunately, that's the way it is. Hope we fix all the water fountain and students do not need to purchase any more water. Jeannie and Doc, any of the other things you wanna mention?
No, I thought that was a great report. That's exactly, I said Cliff Notes, that's what I meant. You took an hour and 40-minute meeting and made it like 10 or 15 minutes. It's perfect. It's very, your numbers here, it says 1 million meals, essentially, have been served. 1 million meals since September. It's a huge number. The ability to get something back with equipment is very important for everybody to understand. There are a lot of problems with food lines being in the hallway at certain schools and not having the facilities. So with this partnership with Macchio's, I hope that some of those problems are solved. And just a quick note on the actual personnel from Macchio's that came and met with us. These are excellent individuals. I was very impressed with them as a partner of ours, having a vendor sitting in a meeting that seemed extraordinarily competent and motivated and knowledgeable about each individual building. It was very impressive. So thanks for that.
Yeah, the other thing is, I just wanted to share with the parents, and parents said, oh, where do you get your feedbacks, for the food and stuff? This year we have new board members adding. Doc has 3 kids, right? And Brian has one kid, one in the school. This one will be here. And we have existing board members who have their kids eating in a school. And we have board members' relatives who have kids eating in the schools. So besides, we have this formal channel of getting the feedbacks of how their services are, we're getting them from these kids. And these kids will tell you honest opinion. They will tell you which one is good, which one's not. Is Marshall, perfect? Absolutely not. Are there any room for improvement? Absolutely. So we'll continue to work with them. We'll continue to work with the food advisory panel, whatever they call it in each school, to address these issues. Because some of the issues happen in schools that are different. Because the other day, Dr. Brigham went to Edison High School. They saw 4 lines. One of the 3 lines was very slow. And the issue is they have to punch in their numbers, and that slowed down the process. And as part of the discussion at this meeting, it's a little bit off the topic of the food committee, is we are looking to get swipe cards for kids to swipe their card through the lines. That'll be much quicker. The swipe card will be used to link with our transportation system for the tracking. So all these improvements are coming, but give us a little time, and you will see better things coming down the road. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Moving along, just to talk about our upcoming meetings. So we have a caucus meeting scheduled for J.P. Stevens High School Auditorium on March 17th at 7 p.m. That's including a preliminary budget approval. That will also include our appointment of a new board member. That legal notice went out, again, making a personal appeal to the public, anyone watching at home. Please understand we're looking for qualified individuals that could potentially, offer their hand and really be proud of working with us and add something to this board. So far, we've only had one person respond with a intent to screen that night, and I really am making an appeal to make sure that on March 17th. I think the deadline is March 11th, so it's the week before, but March 17th is the day that we're looking to do that. And March, the public action meeting would be Tuesday, March 22nd at J.P. Stevens High School at 7 o'clock. Okay, so we're going to move to board member open discussion now. We're going to start reverse order. Ms. White, do you have anything to add tonight?
Yes. All right, we had a meeting with Mr. Borka, and Beryl was part of it, with the Parent Help Desk. Please use the Parent Help Desk. It's a wonderful tool. We'll be able to, do so much. If you're having issues with it, all you need to do is go to the webpage, click on Help Desk, just follow it down. It explains everything. It even has a short film on how to work it, how to make it easy for you. Once you get a ticket number, we're able to follow your problem or your issue, and we should be able to resolve it. Don't lose patience with it. Just keep using it, okay? The other thing I'd like to say is, the student recognition was so great this year. We had so many wonderful students, and it was really nice to see them all come out, especially since COVID. COVID's done such damage in a million different ways, and it kept everybody inside. But it was great to see all the families and the students come out. That's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. White. Ms. Madiger?
So I just have a couple of things. First, I would like to mention that on February 11th, Edison High School hosted their second solo dance concert. While I wasn't there, Elizabeth Conway attended, and she asked me to convey that it was the most inspirational and interpretive dance she had ever seen. and that Ms. Jenkins, the director, should be so proud of herself. And I'd like to recognize the students who danced, and they are 5 seniors and 1 junior: Alicia Edwards, Christian Needham, Emily Rodriguez, J.D. Perez, Ashley Ayala, Catalina Castiblanco. So congratulations to all these students. I would also like to mention about the J.P. Stevens Chambers Ensemble that performed at Boston last weekend, and I just wanted to mention that it was a grand success. They received 2 standing ovations, something that does not happen for every choir. An estimated 400 plus choir directors from all over the Northeast were in attendance. Many choir directors came up to the choir director, Mr. Lee, after the performance and said that the J.P. Stevens performance was the best in the entire conference. Mr. Lee described this as a new chapter in the program's history and a milestone achievement. He also called this performance a highlight of his career. So congratulations to the J.P. Stevens Chamber Ensemble. And last but not the least, congratulations to all the students who got recognized today. Shout out to all teachers, advisors, coaches working with the students every day. I would also like to thank all the parents who put in so much effort, driving them to and from rehearsals, games, and so on and so forth, and for all their support. So that was a great thing that happened this evening. So many students, and it was such a wonderful thing to see. And finally, just a small note, I just wanted to thank Carol Borowski for her service. She will be deeply missed. She was a strong, steadfast voice for students, staff, and the community. She has been a constant fixture at Board of Ed meetings long before she got elected to the board in 2019, and I hope that we continue to see her at our Board of Ed meetings and that she continues to speak up from the other side of the table. Carol, I wish her all the very best. And that would be all, Board President.
Thank you, Ms. Madiger. Mr. Biro Patel.
I would like to congratulate all the students who received recognition today, their coaches, teachers, and everyone. All of them make the district very proud. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Biro Patel. Mr. Mohan Patel.
Thank you. Several things. First, congratulations to all the students that were recognized tonight, as well as their parents for their dedication to make sure their kids achieve their greatness, as well as their teachers for teaching them and guiding them into the right path of getting their information and so forth. And also, I wanted to thank everyone, the administrators, for putting everything together as well, and the principals and so forth. In regards to a few things that I want to discuss, there was some type of chatter on WhatsApp and everywhere where the parents were very concerned about issues that were going on, where there was policies and 2 breaks or a hall pass that was given out, which is concerning, and that's not something that we want to do, where you can only go to the bathroom twice in a day, and if you get rid of it, you got to punch a card, and after your second pass, you don't get any more. So you soil your pants or whatever it is. That is something I don't agree with. That's a draconian way of doing something. But that brings to light the bigger issue, which is we were scheduled to have a policy meeting in regards to topics of whatever it may be. These are things that came in between, and that policy meeting was canceled. So I have a few questions to our board lawyer here. Just give me a second. Let me just written down. I just gave you the policy. If you could, this way you have in front of you. Question number 1 is it true that the majority of the members of a committee who want to have a committee meeting can be called? And is that true or not? I just want to have.
Would you like to read or actually, let me actually ask this question, since it is a matter of policy.
Mm-hmm.
Would the board chairperson like me to read this?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. The section that you have highlighted for me to read is committee meetings may be called at any time by the committee chairperson or when a meeting is requested by a majority of the members of the committee.
Thank you. My second question to you is, Is it stated anywhere that the committee chair must be present in order to have a committee meeting?
The policy says, let me see, just a second. No, it simply says that the chairperson shall be appointed by the president.
Thank you. And the third question I have is, does the district have any policies or bylaws giving the board president the authority to unilaterally cancel any committee meetings at will that have been scheduled by the majority of the committee?
Not that I have seen with what you have handed me.
Great. Okay, so my concern is that we had a scheduled meeting for the policy, and that was something that we could easily have talked about in regards to the issues that were going on in terms of what kind of changes are being implemented or discussed. So what I would like to do is, for the future references, if there's certain things that are going on, we shouldn't be canceling any meetings in regards to topics at hand that can affect the students and their health in that matter. Thank you.
Is that all?
For now.
Mr. Rivera. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Peng. It's hard, I forget. Ms. Peng, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to echo on Mohin's comments on the policy committee, which is only consists of two people, him and I. We actually have to switch our work meeting in order to make that committee meeting on Monday. And Friday night, we just got an email saying the meeting was canceled, even though a meeting agenda with the time and the place and a detailed agenda was sent out Friday. So I'm not sure the reason why it's canceled. I'm also not sure why there is no communication whatsoever between the board president and the committee members. Not phone call, not text message, just an email saying that it was canceled. In the meantime, we do have issues and business to deal with for that policy committee meetings. So I just hope, later on, maybe more communication between the board members. And, when we have scheduled things that we do have business to work on, we do have issues that are coming from the parents, the staffs, things that come on the fly, that it's a committee meeting that we do, the committee members can bring up any issues on the fly, and we do have several things that we need to talk about, including the policy the announcement that made at John Adams that only 2 hall pass was given on the day. So if a student forget about a notebook, forget about a pencil in the locker, they have to get it, and they have to go to the bathroom in one class, then they're down. They can't go get another pencil or go to a bathroom another time, which I think is pretty damaging to students' health issues.
Ms. Peng,
there's also issues about the cricket field usage that was brought up during the week. That I think needs the board attention too. So that's what we were planning to discuss on Monday's meeting. But yeah, all of a sudden the meeting was canceled.
Okay, keep asking your questions.
Well, that's that. And also, I was just want to keep talk about mention a little bit more about the curriculum, the grouping procedure change, because I have been working on that for numerous hours before, and I knew there's, if you are just moving along, this always, if you meet B minus, then you can move to the next level. So the A minus is usually if you let the students skip a level to the next level. And I know that in the past year, there's a lot of issues I heard a lot of concerns actually from the staff member as well as parents going to geometry class, because from Algebra 1 to geometry, that's a sort of big jump. And the students are having troubles, mostly because more students are having trouble this year because of the pandemic, obviously. That last year they were lagging behind. And I hope we don't penalize the students because of the pandemic, and we should just keep working, giving the students maybe extra help, or instead of just raising our standards, because really the students shouldn't be suffer from this pandemic thing. And I do want to praise some of the math teachers in Woodrow Wilson. I know they have put a lot of extra works to help the students, and I just want to say thank you to those
Just
math
if I could
teachers.
add something else, what you just brought up in regards to the cricket. The reason why it's important that we had that meeting is there's cricket season starting now, so the permits are looking to come in and so forth, and we have issues that we need to discuss in regards to that. So I hope we can address them at this time or whenever the time is available for us before the cricket season ends, and they need their permits issued, and where they're going to get them from, so forth.
So I'll address that. The policy regarding field rentals is policy. We have policy. So are you, just to be clear, are you suggesting that the cricket field should not follow our adopted, voted on board policy?
No, absolutely not. I say they should be following it,
Okay,
and that's what I'm
perfect.
saying, and that's what we
Perfect.
want to make sure that, because
No, well, the policy committee isn't to meet to discuss existing policy to say that if we should just keep following it, we should follow the existing policy, correct?
that is correct. We are following the existing policy, but there's issues that are going on regarding that where the township wants to put their fingers in there, and then you
That-
have the board that has that. So what I don't want is that you have a conflict in that sense, and what we wanted to do is to make sure that we solidified our policies so it's strong enough for that not to occur.
So we have field usage in our policies. It was adopted by the board. We have facility rental fees, policies, regulations adopted by the board. We, I believe a lot of these go back to 2011. So it was December of 2010, some things were changed. January of 2011, it was adopted. Nothing has changed with our board policy regarding cricket field, soccer field, softball field, football field. There's policy there.
Great.
So are you suggesting
That's-
that the policy committee should meet to change our current policy so it could go to the board?
No.
So 5 of us could vote that we change the policy?
Not absolutely. Every year we review our policies, and we wanted to make sure
So
that everything is in
last
place.
year, this committee, under your chairmanship, met in September 17th. That was the only meeting the entire year. So now there's an emergency to meet this week?
No, it was actually 2 weeks before when the other stuff were going on.
So-
So we're discussing it right here, like you want us to discuss it, right? So what I'm going to tell you is that these are issues that would have come up and would have resolved, and we wouldn't have been talking about it. We could have been talking about other issues in regards to what can be done and what should have been done.
So
Right
Ms. Badovsky, before she announced her resignation, anybody can Oprah this, she sent a letter to the entire board and said, would anybody like to give me any policy issues that are to be discussed at the meeting? And one person, Dr. Bragan, responded, no one else. So then I said, well, nobody has anything to talk about. And then, after that, I said, you know what, let's look at the committee reports from last year. How many times did they meet? Because obviously if they were meeting monthly, we should just meet, no matter what. And then it turns out they only met on September 17th of last year for the entire 12-month period. Certainly not before cricket season. So now, moving forward, if you want to talk about policy in terms of 2 board members can decide they want to have a committee meeting, I didn't know that. That's good. You should have pointed that out to me, and you said, well, we're going to have a meeting. If that's the policy, we're going to follow it. But in relation to that policy, we look at that policy book and we follow it 100%. The policy is followed all the time, not only when it's convenient for us.
Exactly.
And if we want to adopt new policy, the committee wants to meet, and you want to bring policy to the board, we discuss it in this setting, and we vote, 5 people vote. There should be no, if we're going to discuss policy and be mindful of when we use it, we have to always use it, my strong opinion.
Thank you.
Board President, I do have a question.
Yes.
I think we have a different opinion about committees. So you're saying the policy committee are only allowed to talk about the existing policy and making sure the existing policy are enforced, are followed.
No, the
But my
committee chair,
understanding is-
the committee chairperson reaches out to the board and solicits agenda items. The committee chairperson then sets the agenda. The committee people, the two of you, decide what you're going to talk about that day with the committee chair, and you guys have a meeting.
Yeah, as I explained.
And then you report back to, in public, you report back to us what you talked about.
Yeah, as I explained before, yes, the email was sent out, but a lot of the issues came after the email was sent out, and we didn't
Well, you
really have
understand
time.
that the committee chairperson resigned abruptly right when the committee
Yeah, as-
meeting was assigned. So
As the attorney just confirmed that we do not have to have a chair to have the meeting.
the attorney will also confirm that the policies that are set in stone are the policies. So if you want to follow policies, and by the way, when I texted you saying, hey, is there anything you want to talk about? And you don't answer me back, that would be the appropriate time to
That
say,
was
hey, I'd
today.
like a policy
That
committee.
was today. That was not, that was totally a week after the meeting was canceled. The meeting was canceled without any.
I'm happy to hear you got my text
communication
message. That's
between-
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without
We-
any communication between board president and committee members.
We risk us looking like a dysfunctional board if we are not communicating between meetings. The only time we talk cannot be when we're up here. We need to talk to each other. I'm not here, I'm not gaining any
That's
votes.
exactly my point. The communication is not there if you're canceling the meeting without even notifying the board, the committee members, just through an email.
Board
You
President-
didn't even ask whether we have issues to talk about.
Board President?
Isn't that the point?
Board President, can I say something?
Yes.
We're not just here to
Mr.
look
Shi, you'll
good,
have
we
plenty
need to
of
be
time.
good. It's not just the looks.
Mr. Rivera?
And it's
is it
not
your
for,
turn?
for just issues that you want to discuss in regards to politics and what is going to be benefiting you at the time.
Me?
Not you in general, but people that are looking to run.
Mr. Rivera? Hey, guys, relax, please.
I'm going to try to be positive. The first thing, I would like to thank Carol again for her hard work and dedication to the Edison Public Schools. I wish her well, and she will be missed. Looking through the agenda, I also noticed that there were several retirements scheduled for June. I want to thank these individuals for their service to our school district, and I wish them the best. There's also some great stuff occurring in Edison Public Schools. One of the things, we received an email on Friday. So I want to recognize and thank Hatisha Patel from the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Last Friday, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion letter, Beyond the Surface, was sent out from the Edison Public Schools. The newsletter will provide insight on important monthly celebrations, literary works, address multiple cultures, classroom experiences, and build wide events that highlight diversity, equity, and inclusion. There was a positive response to that newsletter, and I wanted to commend Mrs. Patel for her hard work in doing so. And finally, the most important thing why we're all here is for our students, so I want to thank and recognize our students, their families, their coaches, for a job well done. I want to congratulate them all. Their hard work and dedication it was remarkable, and their future looks bright. So I hope all those students enjoyed their night, and I congratulate them all and their parents. And thank you, coaches.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Mr. Shi?
Hey, I just want to echo the board members' comments about Carol. I'd like to thank her for the 2 years that she's been put in to serve the school district, and she will be missed. And also like to congratulate all these 500 students who were recognized tonight. And I know this is just for half of it. We have another one coming up. So some of the parents and say, hey, why my kids was not recognized? It's just 2 different times, so they'll be coming up later this year. I have a follow-up question that I asked Dr. Bragan the last time. This is about the subscription fee, right? The thing is, if a a parent who their kids go to a private school, the private school did not send the, what you call a B6T form, can the parent contact the school district? And who in the school district can the parent contact about the reimbursement of the, getting some reimbursement for the transportation? Is that the enrollment department or transportation department? Which department is it, if you can clarify?
They should definitely contact the transportation department, but if they don't get a response or they don't meet with success, they can always forward an email to me. That's probably the best way to deal with that.
Thank you. Just want to clarify. Transportation department, I hope the public hears that. And the other thing is about these timelines of submitting this B6T form. And I know that they should be submitted by March 15th, and every month after that, they lose $200 out of that. So I see the email that was sent out by Mrs. Clark to all the principals and asking all the to work with the private schools to get the form submitted before March 15th. So this is for this coming year. So if any of the parents who actually the kids are not going to public schools and you live outside this 2.5 mile radius, you just heard from Dr. Bragan, contact the transportation department and please submit the form before the March 15th and to get full refund. Right now it's $1,000. The question that I want to say is there were some parents or some of the schools that did not submit the form in time before March 15th. Are there any flexibility with those, given during the pandemic and things was not on a regular track? Are there any flexibility that we can give to some of these parents and students?
I mean, that's something we could look into. The deadline in March is pretty important, though. We don't know all the students, unless they were in school the previous year, that are attending non-parochial schools that reside in Edison. And the reason the state picks that deadline is because the budget is due shortly thereafter, and we could budget accordingly. Right now the aid in lieu is $1,000 per student. It's upwards close to $1 million in what we have to pay out. So if there's 100 students that we're unaware of, there's $100,000 that we didn't budget for.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can do something, but
Okay.
those parameters are important because that deadline is from the parochial schools, because we don't know who these students are. They're not enrolled in the Edison Public Schools, so it gives us a heads up. Then they have to follow up with the B8T forms that they, send out. I think we send those out in the summer sometime to make sure we then can process the payments for the parents. And typically, if we can't provide transportation before September, we will make those payments twice annually. But we'll look at those individually, but it's difficult to say a blanket statement because it's turning into a significant amount of money. And if we didn't budget for it, as you know, we had significant increases this year with transportation costs. And everything's going up, gasoline, everything that we have to pay for. So if we can, we will, and we'll look at it individually.
I hope with the full-day kindergarten that the demand is coming down.
All right.
A lot of parents send the kids to other schools for full-day kindergarten, because we don't offer it. So with a new plan coming up, that's great. So since we're on the kindergarten topic, I'd like to commend the administration. Dr. Bragan, his team, and Mrs. Mahabir, I don't know if she's still here. Oh, there you go. For working the numbers and come up with this great resolution. And when I asked Dr. Bragan last year I just want to make sure that we have the number correct, so it's sustainable. It's not that we do this for a year, and next year all of a sudden the enrollment goes up, we would go back to half day. And I'm pretty sure that's why the delay was, and I'm so glad that they worked the number out. And congratulations to the students that's coming in our school district, or the kindergarten students. Hope to see more of them. Just want to go back to the AB schedule and just want to add a comment. The the pull-out was mentioned as part of the solutions to address the periods where the students are not in certain classes. But we know that educators and they will, they're not going to dispute this. Pull-out will cause a lot of destruction to the class that's ongoing. And the pull-out, in most time, does not work. So I hope the administration will look into this, come up with a better solution, and I hope we can. But I just want to make a comment out here that we know the pull-out is not the ideal solution. It's destruction to all the other classes that's ongoing, because you have the classes ongoing, you pull them out to do the music, to do something else. It's destruction to the other classes. We have that for the other classes, and it's not a ideal situation, right? With that said, and also just want to comment on the canceling of the policy committee. It does not matter what the committee is going to have, 1 meeting or 2 meetings. We just want the policy to be followed, right? If the policy does not give board president the authority to unilaterally cancel a committee, it doesn't matter what the topics they're talking about. The board president doesn't have that authority. You can't send out an email out of blue and say the meeting is canceled. The meeting has been scheduled. They have topics to discuss. And that's as simple as that. It doesn't matter how many meetings, last year they had. It's just we're talking about this year. So that's why the question was asked to attorney, and I hope that was the right answer from attorney. I don't know if there's any other policies that I'm not aware of, that any policies give the board president any more power. And I remember that all my former board member, Elizabeth Conway, reminded me when I was the board president. She said, the board president, the only extra authority you have is to put an item on the agenda. Besides that, we are all equal. Although I'm the board president, I was a board president. I don't go ahead and cancel a meeting. I don't like it. And I just hope that moving forward, if we're going to talk about following the policy, let's follow the policy, right? And as far as, should we follow the policy? Yes, we are following, but there are issues right now with the facility usage, right? Some other teams has been treated differently than the others. We know that I'm not going to go to specifics, but we know there are teams that's been treated differently, and that's why we want to enforce the policies. There's no misunderstanding. There's nothing wrong for them to bring a topic at the committee meeting, and we brought up topics at the full committee meeting. It was not on the agenda. It's a very common thing. Again, the question is, does the board president have the authority to cancel any committee meetings that majority of the committee member wants to have it? The answer is no, and that's as simple as that. So with that, that's my comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shi.
Board President, can I ask a question to Dr. Brigham, maybe?
I can't hear you, Ms. Peng.
Can I ask a question for Dr. Brigham?
Sure.
About that policy that came out, John Adams, about 2 hall pass per day, which we were going to discuss in the policy meeting, which was canceled. So I know that after I know it's canceled, I talked to you, but I just want you to confirm that this policy is no longer effective, because these are middle school students we're talking about, boys and especially girls. The emergency do happen. If we only allow 2 passes to the bathroom and lockers a day, we're hurting the students, not just, maybe mentally too. It's just a lot of damage could be done with following this policy.
Excuse me. You're disrupting the meeting. Yes, you are. Please be quiet. Sit down, please. Sit down, please.
Doug, before Dr.
Yes.
So
Bragan
I hope
speaks,
this
can I
can
speak?
be answered, Dr. I know we talk about this, but maybe you can reassure the parents who have a lot of concern about these issues, these policies.
I just want to ask Ms. Peng a question. Is a bathroom hall pass policy part of what the policy committee is meeting about with the Board of Education?
They can have one.
Is that a building principal topic?
If there is really a concern from the parents, then we can set up one. The whole point of the policy meeting, we can change the policy, we can discuss about the changing of the policy or adapting new policy, right? We are not limited to just following the existing policy.
I can answer that. I think it's important, sometimes we use the terms with this confusion there. There is not a board principal in our district, and I respect and appreciate the work that they all do, that can make a board policy. Only the Board of Education can make a policy. Bernie Bragan, as superintendent, can't make board policy, nor can I support anyone breaking board policy. The board can. The board can make policy. The board can choose on certain situations to not honor it and to work around it as a collective. But I think what I'm hearing is there was something that was implemented in the building, a procedure, where there was some type of limit to the bathroom use. I would assume that the goal of that was to reduce the number of times students are in the building and try to, reduce people that were using the bathroom more frequently perhaps than nature had called them to do. I want to publicly also say that any student of almost our 17,000 students in this district that has the urgent call of nature to use the lavatory can do so. It's that simple. If you have an emergency, you have to use the men's room, the girls' room, the transgender room, or any room in between, you're allowed to do it. When I was a teacher, it was very simple. If Eddie Aldarelli asked me, Mr. Bragan, can I use the bathroom? I had one question. Eddie, is it an emergency? And if he said yes, I said, please go to the lavatory. We will not restrict anyone who has an urgent need to use the facilities, nor do I want anyone to feel that pressure, uncomfortable, whatever that may be. If there's an ongoing issue with a particular student who's using the bathroom or the laboratories more frequently, we'll deal with those on an individual basis. I did follow up via our chief academic officers, and they shared that with our building principals.
Thank you.
Board President?
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I would actually like to just, if I
Thank you, Ms. Hope.
may. And it actually talks about bylaws, policies, and regulations. It's Board Policy 0131, and it talks about rulemaking, regulations, and the adoption of policies. It says that the adoption, revision, abolishment, or suspension of a bylaw, policy, or regulation it has to be recorded in the minutes. Policies, when it talks about promulgation, is that bylaws, policies, and regulations will be considered for adoption by the board in accordance with the following procedures. A recommendation for a new or revised bylaw, policy, or regulation shall be recommended to the board and/or the superintendent. A recommendation for a new or revised bylaw, policy, or regulation may be referred at the discretion of the board president and as appropriate to the subject to the superintendent, a board committee, or a public advisory committee for study and formulation of a recommendation to the board. Any study of a new or revised recommended bylaw, policy, or regulation will consider whether the matter is adequately addressed in existing board bylaw, policy, or regulation. If a recommendation for a new or revised bylaw, policy, or regulation results from a referral for study, a proposed draft will be referred to the superintendent and at the discretion of the board president and as appropriate to the subject to a board committee.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? Okay. My board member comment. It's my turn. A functioning board meeting, what we're doing here, it's our board meeting. A functioning board meeting requires communication between board meetings. That's on me, okay? I'm the board president. It's my job to get everybody that you see up here communicating, doing a great job. I will tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, while it might seem as though we're not always on the same page. I'm confident that this group that you see in front of us is consistent with their dedication to the students of Edison. We're passionate. The phrase I hear very often is it's a thankless job. It is a very thankful job. We're very often reminded, as we were tonight with our student recognition, why we're here. Okay, so it's nice to balance out these. And by the way, when we're talking about curriculum, we're talking about board policies, we're talking about our discussions with the township. I could stay here all night. I have the stamina to do this all night, and I will tell you that everyone up here also has that stamina. So again, when it comes to our internal communication to make these board meetings more palatable for you guys, that's on me. And we'll get better. And if we don't, we don't, but we're going to try. I will tell you that this does not serve as a detriment to the students, the teachers, the staff, the faculty at Edison in the school district. We are consistently working hard, and like I said before, what you see here is a very short, truncated version of what the actual body of work is. Okay, so anyway, without further ado, we're going to get to public comments. All good, guys? We're good? Okay, good. Ms. Campione. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you don't mind, I'm going to read my little disclaimer here, please. All speakers are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others whose legal rights may be affected. Please note, while it is not the board's intention to stifle comment on matters of legitimate concern to the school community, the public should be aware that if their statements violate the rights of others under the law governing defamation or invasion of privacy, they may face personal liability to the injured party. If speakers are uncertain of the legal ramifications of their comments, the board urges them to seek guidance beforehand from their own legal advisor. Thank you, Ms. Campione. You have 6 minutes. Thank you.
Sue Campione, 8 Shift for Court. First, I want to give a shout out to Carol and the resolution that was put forth tonight. I had the opportunity to work with Carol at Woodbrook, and I know how much she cares about the kids and the community, and I hope she continues to come to the board meetings to share her wealth of knowledge and her strong opinions that are always in the best interest of the children. 2 comments just about some things that came up. One, Mrs. White, maybe at the next liaison meeting, I have great concerns about the 23 townhouses that are going to be approved right across from Woodrow Wilson. When you are driving up and down in the morning and the afternoon on Plainfield Avenue, it's almost impossible to get up and down. There is a police officer in the morning and the afternoon, but we have many clubs in the afternoons, and if you leave school at 4 o'clock like I do, if you don't beat those clubs out of the building, you're on Woodrow Wilson Drive for at least a half hour. So I don't know if putting a traffic light at Woodrow Wilson Drive in Plainfield is something. I know there's one on Park. They might be too close together, but especially with those 23 townhouses coming, they need to do something. And opening up Gloria, I'm not so sure that that's going to work, because they've talked about that for years, and the people on that street are going to put up tremendous protests to have that opened up. So looking at some other options may help, because I think it's going to be a disaster when those townhouses are opened and adding all of those cars. Because, you know, we sometimes have to be courteous and stop for fellow staff members and all to try and make a left out of Remington or even a left into Woodrow Wilson Drive. You know, I'll stop and flash the lights and let them go, because it's impossible to move on that street. And, you know, like I said, I have left at 4 o'clock and have not gotten off Woodrow Wilson Drive until after 4:30, sitting in traffic just trying to get off the street, because without a police officer there, you can't turn. And the other thing just about the food, the breakfast in the morning, the schools that you mentioned with low turnout, if you look at the correlation with the traffic, I know at Woodrow Wilson, the kids come in early. They're in there before 8 o'clock in the morning, and there is staff being paid to, you know, monitor the kids. But the kids aren't there. So they don't have time for breakfast because they're sitting out on Plainfield and Woodrow Wilson Drive, either trying to get dropped off by their parents or the buses. We have buses that still come in, late. It's the traffic. So that's, and I'm sure like J.P. Stevens, I think, was one of the schools that you mentioned, Edison High. It's all the places where the traffic is horrendous and the kids just can't get here in time to have breakfast. And, I know some of our kids have complained about that they didn't have time. We try and get them something, if they're real hungry, but it is an issue. So that's probably why those numbers are low, not because the kids don't want the breakfast, it's because they're not there in time to eat it. So just to...
Thank you very much. Mr. Venkat.
Good evening. I think Dr. Bregan, I would like to make it simple. The legislative policy, legislation, the board only makes those laws and bylaws, but the rules of execution is with you and your staff. And I slightly disagree with whoever has made a comment. Dr. Valentine has a right intent to actually put that rule. That rule may not be in alignment with policy, so Shannon is right to actually correct it. But I will not doubt even a single minute the intent of Dr. Valentine and her team, because she wants to help the kids not to be roam around outside. So intent is right, but maybe the communication of two passes is something that may be wrong. So that could be prevented. And the second thing, I have great respect for Brian Rivera, but today it's gone down, Brian, because you said that it's a WhatsApp, you've been pissed, but your own cheerleaders are saying that, oh, Brian has awarded full kindergarten. You didn't do it. Administration did it. Brian and other people has done it. So that's where I'm telling you, social media is social media. There are people who are running up against in the next 3 years. They will try to own everything. But nobody has given a credit to Shannon for owning the curriculum committee, working with the administration for making things happen. The full kindergarten, the previous board has taken it. Their name is not going to be taken. Social media only look at, oh, Brian River has come in, first meeting, he made full kindergarten happen. So that's what your credit that you get from the social media. The second thing is lack of transparency. And the policy committee cancellation, that shows the power and the dictatorship of certain people. And obviously, I don't want to get into detail. No matter how much Doug says that, oh, you guys are one team, no, you guys are divided. You guys are 3 and 5, and you said 3 times 5 people, you may be having a 5, but tables will turn soon. Losing trust and lack of transparency. The reason that I would rather say that is here, you guys are really not united and trying to put together certain face that, oh, you guys are united. The first reason that I thank Jerry for showing in the WhatsApp that the AB session, I think, why you guys are not taking the feedback from the parents and students through surveys. Did you guys take surveys of the A and B? And even though, you guys gave a quick answer, oh, we'll give 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. What will happen if my kid has taken music 1 and 3 and 4th marking period, she's not going to get it, and in summer, another 2.5 months, she's not going to get it. So 6 months, my kid has to be without music? I think it is insane. Please take the parents' feedback. And you guys are thinking that we know everything. A lot of parents were there in the zoning board meeting, not here. And I think it's an intelligent way of passing that criteria and everything. And another thing that, Shivi had clearly mentioned that there is acceptance of the parent waiver. She doesn't put it on the curriculum committee. She doesn't put it right there. It's Shivi's personal interest to call the parents, oh, I will help you to get your kid in the honors. It's a political election drama from Shivi. Can she put that waiver is available on the thing? No, it is at the discretion of it. Last year, 2 parents wanted to sue because they didn't know about it, because last year waiver was honored and it was not published. Is it a political stunt from your vice president? Put that waiver there in the minutes. And I think 2.5 minutes for me. And the biology. I met recently last week. A guy worked in Princeton for 10 years. He said that I would give rigor. B plus of honors is equivalent to A plus of regular. The credits are important. And you guys are taking the rigor away from the students. 16 versus 15 credits. Shannon brought a very good point. These are the things that crypto language that you guys put it on the agenda. I hate it. I think Virginia White, you did a damn good job last year with your minutes. I like it. It doesn't matter who recommended it, it has to revert it back so that parents will make it. I'm guaranteeing you that next meeting, by the time parents comes, if 1 month passes, this curriculum committee meetings are going to be, biology is gone, A and B schedule is gone, and grouping procedure from A to A minus. Are we really kidding ourselves that why do you want to say B plus can go to honors, but you're putting on the system and yeah, there are some parents who are working 24 hours to meet the ends, they don't even pay attention, they don't even know you. Are you guys creating a disadvantages for those people that there is a waiver available? Please understand that there is, certain things that lot of parents out of 17,000, only 1,000 people or 500 people will be watching it. You are doing a grave injustice to the 16,000 parents that already have their kids here. And finally, last but not least, food committee, 1.5 million grantee. Jerry, thank you for changing the vendor. Food quality is good. We are getting 1.5 million back to the school district, and they're sponsoring 2 scholarships each high school. It's a fantastic role model change, and I hope they will take a cue that what you did in changing the food vendor, and they will execute it. Thank you. I have 45 seconds.
Thank you. Ms. Orchid.
Thank you. Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson. 2 things I wanted to discuss. On Saturday, beautiful Edison will be having a clothing drive. We're trying to raise funds to make Edison beautiful. If you can drop off any used clothes, it will be at Cypress Brewery, 30 Nixon Lane. We will be using these funds to beautify Edison, and in March we will be asking for volunteers. We especially look for any school children to come and make Edison beautiful. My second thing I wanted to talk about as I sit in this room is to remember all the wonderful memories that happened in this room. We had graduations, we had plays, we have recitals, and we had a tender moment when James Monroe burnt. So as I know, this room will be going under a transformation, and I just wanted everybody just to think of the history of this beautiful room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Orchid.
Board President,
Yes, Mr. Shi.
if anyone who care to take a picture of this and put on the Edison history, that's probably a good thing, because in September this will be a brand new auditorium with the state-of-the-art sound, and the seating will change. But I agree with you. It's a history. Take a picture of it. Remember it. Thank you.
Thank you. Christo.
That's the name they gave me, brother. South Edison, the real South Edison. So Douglas, I just want to start off with the lawyer. And Douglas, I spoke to, people don't know, but when I spoke to you guys earlier, you said there's no rebuttal time. You're a liar, Doug. You don't know how to do your job. Lawyer, you don't know how to give proper legal advice. Stop telling them what they want to hear. Give them the legal advice. You said there was no rebuttal, did you not? No participant may speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. You were right, lawyer. It doesn't say the word rebuttal, but that's a rebuttal. And we don't have to forfeit our original time in order to get a rebuttal later. You can't just change the law, policies, and procedures just because you feel like it. You still have to go make a motion. You still have to take a vote on it. So I want to know, how did Manesh know the last time to leave time so he can speak later? Because you never publicly announced that. You told him in a backroom deal to do that, and we don't have to do that. We don't have to follow your dumbass ways, Doug, okay? I'm a member of the public. I know what I can do and what I can't do, so stay in your damn lane. Doug, you bully other female BOE members, Shannon, from her right to speak. I'd like to remind you, the public did vote for Shannon to be up there, and you have no respect for nothing except your own political agenda. Are you related to Ari Schneider from the Bush Law Group? I think members of the public would like to know, what is your relationship to this R.A. Schneider, if, maybe, maybe not. But it seemed a little bit strange, you pushing this law firm, the Mayor Metuchen. Lawyer Rubin would show up, you say, oh, he has the best resume, and then she shows up every time. That was your whole excuse. You did the old bait and switch. You make your own, Schneider, you make your own rules, policies, and procedures. You're an idiot. You're a scumbag. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head, Maria. You're a Republican committee woman.
Address the chair, please. Address the chair, please.
Shut up. You
are out of
you
order.
misinterpret. You
You
misinterpret.
are out of order,
With bad legal
and
advice.
you
I am
are
not out of
engaging
order.
in
I am
improper
not out-
decorum.
I am not out of order. I'm within my legal rights.
You are
Thank
not permitted to curse. No, you are not.
Rosenfeld versus New Jersey. You're actually allowed to curse, and that was an event that happened
are
actually
not
at a
to
BO. It
engage
does not
in
matter
any
if children are
obscene
present.
comment.
You're allowed to
Obscenity
curse.
is not covered by the
I'd like
First
to reclaim my
Amendment.
time. Shut your damn mouth.
Obscenity
I'm reclaiming
is
my
not
time.
covered
Shut your
by
damn mouth.
the First Amendment.
Shut your damn mouth.
Obscenity is
He's
not
disrupting the meeting. We're gonna ask him to leave now, please.
Obscenity is not covered by the First Amendment.
He's going to be asked to leave now. If security could escort him out, please.
I'm not interrupting. I'm speaking very softly.
No, you were
I'm
not.
acting disorderly.
You can't rewind the clock, Christo. Please.
It moves me out during my time. It's a lawsuit.
Obscenity is not covered by the
He
First
disrupted the
Amendment.
meeting, and you need to leave, please.
Rosenfeld versus
You need to
New
leave.
Jersey. Rosenfeld.
No, he's not getting 2 minutes to talk. He's not getting 2 minutes to talk.
Rosenfeld versus New Jersey says, it's my time to speak. I'm not acting disorderly. You're being given bad legal advice. And now a police officer had to step in to enforce the law. God bless you. Thank you for standing up for my rights. This is what America's about. This right here is what America's about. Doug, you're a tyrant. You're a dictator. You have no respect for the public. He was just willing to have me dragged out during my time to speak. I hope you as board members address that. What did they want? Me to fight for my civil... I actually have every right to defend myself. What were you going to do? Put me in a situation where I can get shot, Doug? You're a scumbag. Scumbag is not a curse. Rosenfeld versus New Jersey, you're allowed to curse. You're such a bad lawyer. No wonder why they put the Metuchen lawyer in, because the Armenian lawyer, Jerry, would have never allowed this. He would have never allowed for a member of the public to be bullied. He would have stopped at giving proper legal advice to make sure that this town does not catch a lawsuit, which is the lawyer's job. It's not your job to cover up every time these scumbags break the law. So the last time I was here, the Metuchen mayor was actually texting members of the audience, telling them what to say, who to attack. Isn't it the Metuchen mayor's law firm? Isn't he supposed to protect all of you? So when he's telling members of the public to attack a certain BOE member, is that not a conflict of interest? Do we not have every right to call for a motion and have his law firm removed if there is evidence and you are shown evidence of that? If not, you're just negligent in your duties. Thank God we have smart police officers here today. I'm going to save my 10 seconds. I don't have to, but just it's all right. You're a scumbag, Doug. You're a piece of...
He's disrupting the meeting. He needs to leave. Any other public comments? Ms. Joyce?
Good evening, Joyce Ship Freeman. Soon as I would like to applaud Jenny for keeping the meeting going all the time and keeping the connection between the council and the Edison Board of Education. Because we know y'all get 60% of the money, so we got to do what we got to do, but we're working together. And I'd like to thank the council president.
Excuse me, Ms. Joyce. Can he keep his voice down back there? He's disrupting the meeting. Thank you. Go ahead.
I would like to thank Doug Schneider for his leadership. Immediately, when he's seen different things that were happening that we could do, that we could help as a council, I immediately sent the information to our new lawyer. Our new lawyer is now talking with the traffic division, and he's working on the situation right now that is on by Hoover School. That's how you do things. You don't get up and say a lot of crazy stuff and wish something happened and all that stuff. What happens is when you ask someone to do something the proper way, they work along with you. They don't have to be called names. They don't have to be like they said with the social media. It's social media, and like he said, WhatsApp is crazy. I mean, I spoke about the vocational school, and the first negative thing they said, oh, she probably did cooking, or she probably did sewing. No, super offensive. But guess what? No, I'm a reading specialist because my great-grandparents were killed and lynched if they ever tried to read. So learn your history before you say some crazy stuff. And continually working with the DPW and the school board, I want them to work together because last year was an incident that one of the DPWs told me it was at the last minute. They tried to get some help from the Board of Ed, but they had to go over to Metuchen. I was like, what? Why would you have to do that? We have a good relationship. So to me, I look forward to this year. I look forward to us working together and moving this town forward. I don't look forward to listening to people talk for 2 hours at a time at all because bullet points and ad-libbing is enough for you to grasp the subject when you're talking about something. Because this town is filled with very intelligent people, and we have very intelligent people sitting there. That's what I liked about this town my whole life. So the people that have to read and have to talk behind everybody and every incident, you lose track of thought of what the person said before that. It could be some real important information that you're handing out. And like with Ms. White, she got good information from Palone's office. And that's the kind of stuff we need. We need to connect with those people that will help us. Now, and last but not least, our teachers are the best. They're being strained. People don't know, I taught in the middle school before. And when I was allowed to move up to the high school, I clapped 3 times over because the middle school is a very, very hard school, very hard. And that's why I would like to applaud over and over again our teachers for their hard work during the pandemic and beyond. And that's what we should all do. We should all work together as a group and stop with the side issues. People should meet before you come before us about these different topics. If you meet before you come to group and everybody works cohesively, you know what? The meeting will probably be over in 45 minutes and people will be able to stay focused on the meeting because the train of thought of a lot of people, I think maybe 30 minutes at the most when somebody's talking, if it's very, very interesting. And I just hope that we do not lose track of the children, of the people that we're responsible for and doing things to help us out. We're overcrowded. So we need to sit down and really, really work hard on that situation. And last but not least is the kindergarten. I know about the kindergarten classes. My daughter went to a whole day preschool. By Rutgers Prep, she went to whole day preschool. So when she went to kindergarten, it was a half a day. I was like, what? She had been used to being in school a whole day. And after you like with 29 to 40 sight words and you have all that information, just 2 hours a day, that's why it's not good. And we want to keep this place good. And most of the people have done the research. And I applaud Brian Rivera, who does not have one political bone in his body whatsoever, does not ever even care about politics. He's more interested in school, and he's more interested in the students and the curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Mr. Patel?
Thank you. Manish Patel, 240 Walman Ave. I'll start with what I usually start. Don't forget my budget. My music program do need money. One other topic I'll bring to your attention is somebody mentioned some of our schools' girls' bathrooms needs attention. I would request all the ladies on the board, can you take 2 minutes out and go to these schools and find out how the bathrooms are? Because some of the girls are complaining to their mothers, and somebody reached out to me. I have told them to reach out to Dr. Bragan, but still, please do that. When we were talking about meeting, Ms. White, did we talk about side streets of J.P. Stevens High School? Please look into it. I'm sure the neighbor's gonna raise a lot of hell because they don't want to open their schools. It's Miller Street and Jason Street where we have to spend a less amount of money, but we could get those doors open. So what I believe somebody said something about kids walking on a sidewalk when the kids are driving. Well, at least if you open that up, the kids go from there and the bridge is left for the kids to walk on. The other thing is, I probably somewhat agree with something that Venkat said. When you guys doing A and B, we agree with whatever you guys do, but try to do a monitor program, one school for a couple of years, and then do system-wide, because sometime if it fails, it's gonna take time to bring it back, and that will be 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Because nothing that happens once permanent, then it's permanent. It's not temporary. All right? And I know about that because I've seen that in a couple of other places. One other thing I would say is, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I just saw a food committee meeting report, and the first thing is staffing. It says 92% staffed, need 9 more. I think we are looking at 101%, not 100. So please review that. We need 8 more to make it 100, not 9. Other thing is serving food in the public school. I think if a past 4, 5, 6, 7 years, if people have thought of it when my kids were in J.P. Stevens, or actually in JMP, when Jerry Shee's kids was there too, we know each other for the last 5, 6, 7 years. And if he was taking care of it, we wouldn't have overcrowding issue today, and we wouldn't be losing 1 point here or there. Ms. Peng was making noise about making it from 16 credit to 15 credits, or 17 to 16. Ma'am, we should have done our job 2 years back, finished the overcrowding. We had the money then. We could have done it, and we shouldn't have a problem today. Thank you.
Doug,
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Ms. Madiger.
Mr. Manish, I just wanted to mention that I actually did a tour of 4 schools, actually 5, on Friday with Dr. Bragan. I went to Edison High School, I went to Thomas Jefferson, I went to J.P. Stevens, and I went to JMI and FDR. And I made it a point to visit all the girls' bathrooms in all the schools. So just want to let you know that. I had heard the same thing, what you heard, so that's why I made it a point.
Thank you. Mr. Revnak.
Good evening, Matt Revnak, ETA Vice President. Just a couple of things I want to mention. Number one, we spent about a half an hour debating over like how we're going to have committee reports and all that. You know, one of the things, I've been coming here a lot longer than any of you have been sitting up there. I don't remember ever getting a committee report at any meeting ever. People have reported out on it, never did anything in writing. I don't think it's a bad thing personally. Maybe that's something that should be done. However, I've been in chair of many committees. In fact, I'm on the NJEA State Health Benefits Committee. I represent Middlesex County. And it's about an hour and a half to 2 hour meeting, 5 times a year. I write a report up to submit to the county, which is no longer than 1 page long. And when I present it to the county to approximately 100 leaders around the county, it's about 3 minutes in duration. It's summarizing things everybody can read. So if you put out a committee report, you don't need to read it. You don't need to go in depth unless it's something of major discussion. It is a quick synopsis of what the meeting was about. And of course, I always end with, anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be glad to, talk to you more in depth about it. Second thing, actually, Ms. Campione said one of the things that I was going to mention about the food at breakfast in the morning. She hit it right on the nose. We have the same issue with J.P. Stevens. I'm sure it's here at Edison High as well. With the buses being late, traffic outside, the kids just don't have enough time to eat breakfast in many cases. So I think that's one of the reasons why, and as was pointed out, if they're not eating it when it's free, it's not going to happen. So, that's something to consider. Number 3, I just want to mention, and that's about the, board's responsibilities or, that type of thing. And yeah, you're not supposed to meddle in day-to-day affairs, although some of the things that have come up, like, 2 passes for a bathroom, that's the day-to-day affairs of a building. So why that's coming up in a board meeting, I don't know. The direction should be reach out to the building principal or reach out to the superintendent with it. So it's really a two-way street that way. And as far as, contacting Mr. Mohan Patel, you must have an obsession with the union because you always mention us every meeting in some way. But anyway, there's times we tell people to reach out to the board members. Although we always tell them Dr. Bragan should always be included, or your building principal in many cases. What people do individually is up to them. But yeah, there are some major issues, and the board needs to hear about it as well. Who approves curriculum? The board does. So, you can reach out to your supervisor, you can reach out to Dr. Bragan, but the ultimate there is that the board eventually will approve it. So for people to reach out to a board member or board members, to give their point of view on it is not really something that's inconceivable. Finally, I just want to end with this. I mean, what just happened is atrocious. I really feel for you guys. Nobody should be attacked, especially personally. I stood up here over the years. I've had disagreements with sometimes a board member or something that's said or a superintendent. Hey, Dr. Bragan and we met today, and we had a little contentious moment, and then we got up and we settled it, and it was all said and done. We never make it personal. We can have disagreements, but to be personally attacked is just totally wrong. It should never be personal. And it really is a travesty what just happened. I really feel, for you guys, especially you, Doug, because you seem to be on the attack with you, and Hope.
It's okay.
By the way, welcome back, Hope. It's nice to see you. I forgot to mention it the other day. All right, so other than that, thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Venkat, you had some time remaining. Would you like to use it?
Yep.
45 seconds, please.
Let's see, do they put that?
Go ahead.
I think Dr. Bragan, can you please take the feedback from the parents and the students by surveys? I think we lost trust on these committees of taking parents. I think a lot of union-based, their family members are the teachers, so now they're listening to the teachers more and less on the students. Appreciate if you can take a survey on the students so that students can get the feedback. I have lost respect on some of the committee members only listening to the one side of the story. We are not part of those things. The curriculum committee meetings are not something discussed. I think Jerry's been attacked today for discussing those things openly. There are 4 BOE members and WhatsApp groups, and the BOE leadership team member is part of that, and she's quiet. She hides it because it's November elections. I repeat, she has an action plan to use it in November election. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Board President?
Motion?
Board President, can I say
Yes.
something? Yeah.
Is this the second time you're going to?
No.
You're disrupting the meeting. Can you please be quiet?
I want to thank, Mr. Ravnik and Mrs. Campion for coming and share their view about the breakfast thing. But when I look at the data varies from, as I said, from single digits to 65%, right? So are these schools that's on 40% and 60%, or 58%, are they unique, that there's no traffic issue? I don't know about that. Right? That's why we try to do the thing and try to change it and open up earlier, bring the food close to the where the entrance where the bus drops. Let's see if we can see any progress here. But as far as my understanding, all the schools are overcrowded, and all the schools, the traffic going there is the same problem. We have bus issues across the board. And for some reason, some other schools are doing better than the others. So that's why we're trying to do something different and see if we can get a better report in the next couple months. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I got a motion by Biro Patel, a second by Ms. White. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Burrell Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Mohan Patel?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
All yes, motion is carried.
Meeting's adjourned.